You okay? Sorry, buddy. Yeah, I know that intro's a game changer. I gotta turn the volume on it down. Everybody talks about how it's so fucking loud. Yeah, I gotta fucking re-download that video and turn it down for sure, cause it was like, whoa. Other than that, it's flawless. Everyone loves that shit, dude. Am I live or no? Yeah, we're live now. Sorry, I didn't know I was fucking live, dude. That's hilarious, bro. Yeah, we're live now. Well, let some people jump in. What's up, Jay Brown? How you doing, man? Why don't you come in Discord with me, man? Yeah, I'm gonna throw out this invite. Get Jay Brown's up in this bitch. Yes, sir. How you guys doing today? No, I'm off the next 2 days, so I'm gonna be fucking live all night, dude. It's gonna be sweet. Guys, we are gonna go over some stuff here real quick. I'm just letting some people get in, but we're gonna go over some shorts, some stuff with the shorts and everything. They can see it. Yeah, I got my screen up. Alright. That seller boxing, dude, was super overblown, guys. Super overblown. This fucking thing, yeah. Let me see if we can't get a boss in here too. Oh yeah, he'll just put a boss in here. Yeah, that one. I like that one. Yeah, I already put his video up on that thing. If you guys want to watch it, it's like 3 minutes long. It's literally. Here, let me turn my shit off. Little impractical jokers going on, you know. Yeah, hold on, give me 1 second. I think, bro. Oh, never mind. Yeah, so we're just looking at some of the stuff about short positionings and how, like we said, like everybody's looking for this magic answer, but all of this stuff is legal for these guys. And if we want to sit there and like, I mean, this is even from short sellers out of their mouth right here. I mean, if we really want them to ever cover, they're not ever going to cover until they start actually seeing. So your final, sorry about that, final piece of a short squeeze are mark to market profit and losses. So if they're not even losing much money, they're not going to cover. So we need to sit here and take away the liquidity, and we need to basically start making this trade cost them money. Because right now, like all those steps we were showing you, as long as we keep giving them payment for order flow orders, they can keep on making money off all this stuff, and like all this stuff is saying, you're not gonna, even if you have high short interest and stuff like that, like it says, go ahead and read this. Even if you have high short percentage, doesn't mean that these guys need to cover yet, because you know they could have a whole bunch of people opening up new shorts that aren't in very red positioning, so they're going to keep holding. So we need to start ordering to these lit exchanges, otherwise they're going to keep on suppress our buying, and they can continuously, obviously can't hold it down completely, but they can. Yes. Exactly, and on top of that, I mean, you could see earlier when we were starting to have all those imbalances on the market because so many people are suddenly started buying over those. So I mean, the market makers are the liquidity providers for those programs, for those exchanges. So the way that works is if those imbalances are they happen for a couple of days straight, those market makers now need to go to their reserves, which is what they use for internalization, and they have to use those to balance back out the NYSE or whatever exchange is imbalanced. So that completely fucks them up too, because now they can't use all those shares for internalization for fills as well, and they can't make all that extra money. And like,
Provide a buy and a sell.
Oh shit,
They're
man.
always there.
I didn't even barely. They couldn't even fucking hear you before. Hilarious. My bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have me turned down or something?
Yeah.
So so with how the market makers make money is right. Like you have people buying and selling within this security, and they're always on the outside like a buffer. They're always at a buffer edge, and then when there's nobody selling or buying in between that, that's when people hit those buffers. They provide the liquidity to the market. When nobody's buying and selling, there's always somebody buying and selling. It's those market makers, and so they make their profit from the difference of like the act of buying and selling and from what they made that from their sale, right? They make a difference on that spread. So that's how they profit by going short, right? They but by them going short, is there a risk? Is there a financial risk for them to be going short? Or is it just them keeping the book saying, "Hey, I did this. I made my commission by, you know, providing the security. I made the commission of just a mere minuscule few, fraction of a cent in difference, and that's how they make their money. And so basically, when somebody sells it, they'll buy it. When somebody hits that sell, or when they buy somebody's sell, they basically get it back, and it clears off the books again. And they only profit on that difference of a spread there too. So I don't think there is a risk for them to create these shorts. I don't think there's a financial risk, and that's what I need to prove myself wrong on because I want there to be a financial risk. Because if there is a financial risk, then we can go into this term that I tailored as a margin squeeze, not like a short squeeze, because a short squeeze is there are two different types of shorts. Like the shorts that everybody wants to see are people selling shorts that have to cover, they have to buy back. These market makers that provide liquidity don't have to buy back. And unless there's something with those FTDs, that's the other thing too, right? So there's multiple avenues that I think that we can hit MOAS. One is crypto dividend that requires blockchain that would require 100% for share recall. The other one is this potential, margin squeeze that I talk about, where they're financially squeezed to where they have to cover these. But I honestly don't think that's possible,
I
but
don't
I
see
want
how
to
they
look
get
into
there
it.
either, man. As the market maker, I don't know because every single time we're buying, like you said, they're still making money off it. So as long
Exactly,
as
and
we're
that's where they make their
buying, they're gonna
money.
yeah. As long as we're buying, they're gonna keep getting fucking liquidity into them. So let's just say
And,
it for
and they
margin.
have this responsibility to provide liquidity to the market. And so no matter what, and the CEO of Virtue Americas is like, we're not doing anything wrong. He basically said we have to provide liquidity. Like he smiled about it. Like the interview they had with him was he knew what they were doing was wrong,
But
and
it's
he
not
was just
illegal, and that's
happy.
all that they care about.
Exactly, and he was just tickled up his balls that there's nothing that could be done about it, right? He didn't give two shakes of a stick because he doesn't have to,
Exactly,
because
and
they did their homework. They did their freaking homework. But the last one I wanted to cover, so we had what, margin, and the last one I wanted to cover is FTDs. There might be something in the FTDs like that. Remember the reg show, right?
yeah,
Where they have to cover the FTDs due to the reg show, and before they were hiding the FTDs in these ISDA contracts, right?
yeah,
So two things need to happen for that. So we're not 100% sure that these current um, changes created by the SEC will prevent them from hiding these failure to delivers. Like we're seeing stuff, but we still got to kind of play things out and see how it works out on these FTDs. If we start seeing them grow and grow and grow, and like they don't get off the reg show, then
that's
I'm
what
gonna
I
start packing my
expect.
moon bags, dude.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
expect to happen.
yeah, dude. At that point, we'll probably start showing our face. Like I was thinking that we could reach out to, the Eight Strong documentary guys. The guys that are doing some amazing work out there, and be like, hey, you know what? Biggums and I will do a face reveal on your documentary, and so when people see the documentary, they would know what we look like. Other than that, we really don't like we why show our face, right? If I show my face, I want it to be for a good cause. So,
No,
but
yeah.
that's when I'm gonna be packing my moon bags, dude. Like the reason why I sidetracked off of that is because if we were live streaming and those things were happening, you would like seriously like see me packing my hypothetical bag, like just shoving it full of bananas and just
Well, I mean,
like it.
after this cat system went live, technically this is what should happen. We should start. I mean, we saw it in August. We should start seeing those. I mean, those is the contracts were like I said, they were ridiculous. They didn't even report to an exchange before, but they still got the shares. How the hell does that make sense?
And can they hide these in derivatives too?
They
Like as in I'm
could.
talking about
I mean, most.
options. I'm talking about stock options. So if that's the case, anybody buying options on, things like payment to order flow like Robinhood and Webull, are they potentially feeding into hiding failure to delivers? I mean, that's another avenue that I feel we need to research, right? Because they have this giant book and they're using every single play. It just
Oh yeah.
the question is how much are they throttling each play? Like when we shot up back in June 2nd, the manipulation switch went like 100% full on. It went hardcore to the point where everything is so clear to what we're like just a random stupid cybersecurity guy and some crackhead named Biggums discover these things, right? That the manipulation is that strong
Oh
that
yeah. They had no
it makes it
choice with
so
how much we
easy.
were buying. They had to do it, dude. And that's the thing too. Like I want to point out with everybody that, so like as long as we keep buying, they're gonna have to keep shorting. They're the market makers. That's their job. They're going to continuously short and short and short forever as long as we do that. This is why we need to go to a lit exchange. It is imperative we go to a lit exchange. If you don't, they can do this shit for so long. It's stupid. You are
Yeah, you
continuously
allow
giving them
like
money. You're allowing it. You're literally allowing it. Like I was saying in my other video the other day, it's like, think about this, you guys. You have a machine that looks really pretty. It's got fancy lights and it's got video games on it, but if you vote on it, your vote's not heard. And then you have another boring looking machine. You have to push two more buttons, but your voice will actually count. There's so many people still walking over and playing the video games. It's crazy.
now is like I don't know. I can't speak to everybody. There's a lot of new investors coming in, and there's a lot of new investors that came in a month ago that were still being promoted. Links like Robinhood and Webull,
Yes, but
but we're seeing that culture changing, right?
yeah, but the
Like
problem
you and I
is
did that.
even on Friday, dude, like Friday. So there was like 7 or 8 followers because I started following people and just to see what they're doing. And a lot of them were posting pictures of their buys. And I counted over 100 grand on buys on Robinhood. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, it's okay. I'm gonna buy it on Robinhood because I have the money now, and then I'm gonna transfer over. And it's like, no, the damage is already done, you guys. And then on top of that, you're just now paying a $75 transfer fee for no reason. It just
Yeah,
doesn't
dude.
make sense, guys.
It it's dude. It's like somebody that's going through rehab or something. Like it's like it's like, oh, I'm just gonna do crack now. Like I'll go through rehab later. Don't worry. Like if I'll do a bunch of crack now, but it's okay because trust me, I'm gonna go in rehab later. Like it's like,
Yeah. Like you
dude,
guys, I'm telling you, you guys keep looking for everybody to find this DD and find this data. We're never gonna find it. The only place it's gonna be is in like Citadels. But you think they're gonna let that kind of data get out into the public? That shit's like fucking
well,
barricaded
here's the
behind
thing.
10,000 servers, dude.
Well, no,
Clouds.
no, no, not even that. Like, what is that data going to do? Like, what data are they looking for? Like dark pool data, whatever. Like, we already know what's going on. The SEC already knows what's going on, and the SEC has so much data that you guys like, so much data. Like, even if they presented it publicly, one person wouldn't be able to go through it all within probably a year. So, but the core thing about the data that they're getting is 100% of everything being done is legal by the book through loopholes, right? So what they have to do is they have to find some sort of mishap or mistake that they made, and then legally pursue that if they could. But at this point in time, what I'm seeing from what's coming from the SEC SEC is changes that is putting the pressure on these people to do the right thing.
Oh
But
yeah.
I honestly think that it's too far. Like they've done so much crack, like they've lost their teeth, dude. Like they've like it's too late for these hedge. It's not hedge funds actually, and that's like the whole point of my video. It's not necessarily hedge funds. It's the market makers. It's the wholesalers, guys. It's this whole time everybody's like, "Oh, it's the hedge funds. It's the hedge funds." No, the hedge funds are technically becoming they're becoming bag holders, guys. These market makers are screwing hedge funds over, right? It's not necessarily hedge funds. They're going from something that like like a system that worked like a fine-tuned machine. Like the market in these past 2 years, it worked like a machine. Like it's so readable by the industry whales. It was easy. It was so readable by shorters. It just ran rhythmically. So these guys are so used to like, oh, at this point I'm going to short, but and then cover here but things have completely changed. Everybody's holding, the market's manipulated at 100%. You can't read it. They're going off of historical like now, and that short interest data like you were mentioning earlier, which I feel you should cover. um that's all manipulated by all this like increase in supply and suppressed demand. So the short interest data that these shorts are going off of themselves don't even know how to read it themselves. They only know what their positions are and what their friends' positions are. They have no clue what's going on in this stock. So shorting AMC and GME is risky and in my opinion stupid.
Well,
I
yeah. I
mean,
mean,
there's so many other stocks in the market. Just don't do it, right?
well, I
Just
doubt anyone's
don't do it.
listening is gonna be shorting us, bro. But like you said, this is
I
all
might be able
legal.
to save one person's life out there. They're gonna be like, tomorrow they were all ramped up. They're like, Monday I'm gonna fucking short AMC and GME so hard. Like, I changed that person's life tonight. I hope that's how I'm gonna fall asleep tonight, knowing that I might have changed some hedge fund shorter out there's life.
But yeah, like we were
Don't
saying,
do it.
guys, just go to the lit exchange. And don't even give them that money. That's how we get that margin call that you guys all want. We stop giving them that liquidity that keeps them rolling and rolling and rolling. It's the only way.
Yeah,
And then,
we're prime for a regular short squeeze, dude. Like like the MOAS, the MOAS and the short squeeze are going to be two separate things, right?
exactly, explain
Like
that,
if
because that people need to realize that, guys. They're two different things.
yeah, like because the short squeeze we're going to see, maybe 200, 300, maybe like 500, 300, 400, GME style type squeezing going on because that's like a true short squeeze by legitimate shorts. But these market maker shorts, those are failure to delivers, and they were using loopholes in the system to just I call it parasitic. I call it I tweeted to Gary Gensler earlier today. I was like, Gary Gensler, if you create a bill to correct this, I want it to be like the parasitic liquidity provider bill, or like the parasitic liquidity bill, because that's what's happening. Is they're suppressing the buys, they're increasing the demand with the failure to delivers, they're hiding it so nobody knows what's going on. People are buying in and causing the price to go down. So like, one person only knows what's going on around them and then maybe with their peers. So they're buying and like, oh, the stock's going down, what's going on? So they're thinking other people are selling because they have no freaking clue. Eventually the stock gets to a point because people are, as it's cycling, as the liquidity just flows through, the price naturally is going to go down. That's how this method works. This parasitic liquidity works. With the liquidity going down, the price goes down. But what's rare about AMC and GME is people are holding. People are freaking holding, and as liquidity keeps going, we get more holders, and so we have more people holding on to these failure to delivers, and it gets to the point where we're at, where I feel we are over the float in retail traders alone. And there's even more failure to delivers hidden because what I feel these market makers are doing is they're creating these failure to delivers and they could technically cover them as liquidity comes in, but they're not. They're just like tucking them to the side. They're like sweeping them under the rug because the more of these FTDs they get, the more of the price they can drive down. So it's not good for them to cover, right? Covering it would bring the price back. So they just keep sweeping it under the rug because that's the whole mission. We're going to send this bad boy to the OTC market. So they're like, yeah, yeah, keep bringing liquidity. They need the liquidity so that way they can cycle these FTDs, shovel them under the rug, and keep this machine going until it goes to zero. But so now we have these stupid apes holding on to these like AMC, GME, and BlackBerry stocks, and it's not working. So now what do? Right? Now everybody thinks there's a short squeeze MOAS, short squeeze, everybody's pumped. People are interested in this stock. You don't want to expose these failure to delivers that will just create this giant MOAS that's going to destroy banks, right? This type of MOAS is gonna just burn banks. Like
Oh yeah.
they would need help, like
Yeah, you saw that
desperately.
derivatives. It was in the,
Like
it was over 600 trillion when I saw it last. And Charlie said it was
so, like
650. Holy fuck.
that's why I feel GME is even bigger, like because GME this is it's not something like during COVID they're like, yeah, we're gonna take this out because of COVID. So this tactic, this parasitic liquidity requires time and liquidity. I feel GME has been like attacked for 4+ years. Like there's FTD, their rug has a fucking elephant under it, dude. Like and so that's why I feel these CEOs know by doing a blockchain dividend, it's gonna just destroy things. That's why Adam Aaron is looking into blockchain, right? He's hoping by the end of this year that they're fully kind of ingrained into the blockchain system.
Yep.
We know GME is already pretty much there. They got their NFT stuff. And well, guess what? Guess what you back NFTs up with? Well, blockchain, duh. And so that's what we need to wait on, but let's not be stupid in the meantime, guys. Let's like start raising our floor, because what if these CEOs don't do anything, right? Then you're sitting on a stock that people are buying into that's driving the price down. Come on, right? So make the price go up, raise that floor, raise that ceiling in the meantime, just in case if you know we don't have this dividend, we have to wait for a reg show. Plan on for next year, keep driving the price up, keep educating people to do that and how things work, because guess what, you can only fit so many elephants under the rug before it's big enough to take down the entire nation. Like that's why the SEC is stepping in, and that's why they're really calculated on what they're doing, because this has to be handled carefully.
Well, yeah, like we
Otherwise
said,
this will affect the whole
650
world.
trillion people. 650 trillion. Think about that number.
So when you guys are looking at Ortex and short interest data, yeah, that's good for like a short squeeze. But with this is the MOAS. This is to do with the FTDs. And I think once we educate people on that, it's going to change their mindset on how they're investing in these meme stocks too. And I see that as a positivity. So I really feel people should really educate other people on this matter for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, man, and everybody, all we see, the thing you guys look at every day, that graph, that's the public data feed. Why wouldn't you want that to be as accurate as possible? It's simple,
Dude,
like I said, is just going to lit exchange, guys. It's so simple. It's the holy grail answer you guys all want. It really, really is. They cannot
yeah, if there's
suppress your
if
buying.
like if there's something like people are always looking for this like secret answer. Like and I always talk about controllables. What can you do, not what other people can do. But if there's one thing you guys can do is you can educate people on how the market works, right? And educate them on buying and lit exchange and doing it. Like just doing it, right? Don't be complacent. Just because you're one person and you only buy 10 shares,
Yeah,
the 10 shares is huge. Like 10 shares throws a huge, like 10 shares in an odd lot purchase on a direct exchange to Nasdaq is like throwing a wrench in a finely tuned machine. Like because they complain about how the odd lots actually, what odd lots do is they will tighten the MBBO spread. And the wider the MBBO spread, A, is more money for the market makers to make, right? Remember, they capture the difference of the trading activity, between everything, and they're like the buffer ends of the MBBO in a sense. And so they make profit. So if the wider the spread, they make more of a profit. And if when you're talking change, that increases more drastically. Like you're talking about a penny to 2 pennies. That's doubling your percentage. So by these odd lot orders, they actually narrow this MBBO spread. It actually makes it harder to front run. So they control this flow in the OTC market, in the payment to order flow. They can control it because they have this wide spread to play in between, because they have this duty to give best execution, which means this is technically best price. And if you can see what the market price is going to be, the bracket of it, you're like, all right, I'm going to put it right there in the middle. I'm going to take the spread. Here's the shares. They sell the shares to Citadel, right? They smacked it right in the middle. They sold it to Citadel. They have that, the how much they made in the gap from the middle to the end, for the top end of the MBBO. There's that gap in price, and they say, all right, here's my cut. They give Citadel or Virtue their cut, and then and the shares that they hedged for, and what Citadel and Virtue do, they take a portion of it and they kick it back to these guys, these brokers that are doing payment to order flow. Like, yeah, we made money from it too, so here's your money. And this is even TD Ameritrade and Fidelity. It's that kickback, right? That kickback that you like to talk about. Everybody gets a piece of the pie, but most of the time not the retail trader, unless you're on like TD Ameritrade. They take a very small, like a 10% cut, and they give 90% to the retail trader as a price improvement, which is a good thing, but it still uses payment order flow. But I don't blame them, because they're just trying to give you the best price. And sadly, the best price isn't using payment to order flow, because 50 to 60% of the market is in the OTC market, and it's controlled by the OTC market, so it's obvious it's the best price.
Yeah. I'm just showing everybody quick that exemption.
Yeah, do so, and then
I got it pulled up right on
cover.
the screen.
Make sure you cover the other. What was it?
I don't know what do you want to cover.
I think it was what you sent me, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
can't remember.
the short selling.
There's something you said you wanted to cover, and I can't remember. Dude, I get in a rant sometimes. I apologize.
No, that was.
I,
That's
I
what
can
you
put on my
sent me.
Biggums
That's what
voice.
you sent me here. Hold on.
Here's my big voice. That was my big voice.
All right. So as you guys can see, so when they sit there and they make these synthetics, or take out a short, it creates a synthetic long, which yes, it does get filled, or it's supposed to be getting filled. And there's such a thing called the God damn it, I can't remember now. Fuck do I? Actively tradable shares, which actively tradable shares with the synthetics at the moment can be larger than the float itself. So it actually, this is actually possible to have more shares out there than the float itself too.
That's what I wanted you to talk about. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, so
I actually just pulled up. I
just so they
pulled
can
up your
read it.
video.
I'm
And
gonna let them fucking zoom way in on this shit.
I want to see chat. So
Damn it,
make sure.
yeah, I would do that, bro.
Yeah, make sure you keep an eye on chat, because I'm terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, Boss Bun's here.
Damn,
You see,
dude, fucking trash at this, man.
did you see Boss Buns is in your chat?
Yeah. All right, fuck it. Hopefully I can see that. Jesus Christ, dude,
Yo,
I'm about to
Boss, jump
cry.
into Discord. Did you send him an invite on Discord,
He's
man?
with his kids right now. He just don't.
Oh yeah,
He's
totally
just
get it.
coming to hang out and listen for a little bit, which appreciate that, buddy. Does it start tomorrow? Hold on. Yeah, TD
Yeah, I
Ameritrade.
don't.
TD
Go ahead.
is Thinkorswim, guys. If you guys want to order from your phone, if you don't want to order from your computer, if that's like the one thing stopping you from not ordering on payment for order flow, TD Thinkorswim, you can order right on your phone. It's got graphs that are just as good as, aren't they, on the computer? You're the one that uses Thinkorswim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What would you say?
I said talk about Thinkorswim. You're the one that uses Thinkorswim, not me.
What was the question?
No, just talk about how they can use it on their phone and the charts and all that stuff that you can do
Oh,
and
dude,
stuff.
yeah, dude. It's like I've been sending screenshots of it. Like people are like, "Oh yeah, The only thing that's good about Robinhood, I feel, and this is so, I would love to work with TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim to help improve things. But the only thing that I feel that Robinhood's really good about, it's about bragging rights, right? It's all like it makes it easy to take a screenshot to show your P&L and the charts and what's going on. It's all for social media glamour. And I feel like if these other brokers did stuff like that, where they made like certain scenarios where you can share your trading experience, then these brokers will grow on that level. That's why people use Robinhood, and they didn't really even use Webull that much to share their P&Ls because Robinhood made it easy to share that type of experience. And I think that's where public might come in and start succeeding. But I think that's all public is almost too open for my taste, right? Same as Cash App.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, but fucking, it's like you said, it's just garbage, dude. They just make it look pretty because it is that garbage, and that's the only way you're gonna end up using it. But like we said, it's just like that pretty
But
machine
that's
that
what
video
people
game.
want,
Exactly.
sadly, right?
So
So
just
I
so you
mean, these
guys
other
know,
brokers
hold
need to
on here.
step
I'm gonna
up.
read this shit off for him real quick here. So the other thing we were talking about. So this is a guy that a lot, does short selling every single day. He talks about it, works in the industry. He's talking about short selling and how just because you have a float that's super high or a super high short interest doesn't mean people are gonna get off the train. The only way you guys can start to see a short, the final piece that you guys all want, the final piece to start a short squeeze are market to market profits and losses for those companies. So we need to start making them lose money. And how do we do that? Straight to exchanges. We're fighting the market makers. So the only way we actually start to beat them or get that short squeeze you guys want, like a guy says that works in this field every day, you have to make them lose money. And by every time you guys give them money, like he said, even if it's just one of you, even if one of you gives them money, that's still money again for every one of you that does it. That takes away one that's not doing it. So you guys, like I said, it's way more important than a lot of people are giving this stuff credit for. I mean, you guys, who else? Gary Gensler, Dave Lauer, Congress, the news. I don't know who else. No, nothing Matt Coors is talking about. Any of these people. Astros theory. It's a theory, you guys. This shit's what they're talking about. The government. I mean, Jesus Christ. The SEC. The people you want, they're talking about this because it's what's happening. We're showing you. I'm showing you behind the scenes how this is happening. But if you guys are going to sit there and not go to a payment for order flow, or you're going to keep using Robinhood, none of this matters. The system's going to keep going because this is how it's designed. It's designed for them to win until you change how the system's going. And I mean, you can't just sit there and wait for the government. When the hell is the government ever going, all right, let's step out of our way to help out the American people and hurt us in the process or hurt out our big money guys? They're not going to do that. Who put them in office? All these
So
guys.
I got to shout out to Boss Blunts, dude. He like if you watch dodgeball, right? And there's a coach that had the wrench. He's like, you dodge a wrench, you dodge a ball. And Boss Blunts down there as a mod just tossing wrenches. Like it's just hilarious.
Is it?
But he said he's possibly going to be coming into Discord too, which is good, because he's got really good overall market insight and global market insight. Not market, but economic. Sorry, like
Oh
economic.
yeah.
Like he knows
Oh yeah.
he
I
knows
talked to
the
him all the time.
economy very well. A lot more than I do. And plus I wanted to see if he caught in about the supply and demand, rant I had. But yeah, speaking of wrenches, dude, you're absolutely right. Like, it's the government or regulators don't step in until there's a wrench in the system, right? Where the system starts causing enough, you know, squeaking and grinding and like sparks are flying, then
Exactly.
they step in and make these changes.
You
So
guys.
by buying lit to the lit exchange and causing problems, like
Oh, exactly. You guys got to think of who we're going against. We're going against the richest of the rich. And not only that, they're borrowing from people that are even richer than they are. So the only way to eventually hurt them or make those richer guys be like, all right, we need our money or we're going to margin you, is you start, like I said, make it to where Citadel and all these guys can't pay them back. It's as simple as that. It like they said, even a short seller, like I said, this guy works in this field every day. Until you make them lose, they're never gonna leave a trade that A is winning or is barely losing. Why would they? They're gonna wait till they can make their money back, or they're gonna hedge and keep hedging for their position over and over and over.
I wonder how that reg show works in the OTC market, if it works the same, because I wonder what it's going to be like for Sears. If they put this FTD squeeze, actually, we need to coin it, because here's the thing: there's a short squeeze, and there's this FTD MOAS we're talking about, right? They're two separate things, and I think the public needs to differentiate it. So we need another name for this other MOAS, and I want to call it the D squeeze. Because of the FTDs, right? Because guess what? When we go through a D squeeze, they're gonna be sucking on Ds, because like they are gonna be hurting bad, dude.
Oh yeah, like we said, once all these bonds and all this stuff comes crashing down, it's gonna be nuts, dude. But Michael Berry came back, dude. He back, like you said, man. Shit's about to go down. Like I said, I still feel November-ish. I feel like they pushed it back just because they just can't. There's so much
Dude,
shit, dude. There's so much shit.
I don't like giving dates, but I can give you kind of like I can give you my sentiment, right? Like my sentiment's not financial advice or anything like that, but my sentiment to where I'm setting my mindset to at bare like minimum is December like December, right? I'm planning on it could potentially go into, July of next year, potentially, but I don't think it's going to be. I think, December is more realistic because, right, I know the way I know 100% of all failure delivers at this moment to be covered is through a crypto blockchain dividend, right? So if with that mindset, I'm just trying to give you an idea of how my mind works, right? So as that being is like my most safest route of seeing this type of squeeze, this D squeeze, uh, it through the timelines given by CEOs, we're looking at the end of the year for crypto, and then we can kind of get a better idea of where they're going with that, and then I can change my timeline from there. But currently, December is where, if nothing's happening, is where I'm going to focus at to see where we're pivoting to next. Now,
Well, not
granted, we could squeeze between then, or we could actually, we'll have our short squeeze potentially. I feel we're going to have a short squeeze. This is feelings, right? This is not like anything other than that. This is like a mental bet in my head saying that it's going to be within the next month or two, right? That this is a short squeeze, not a D squeeze. So we're going to see shorts become bag holders. And then so you're going to hear the media say, guess what? Short squeeze is over. Short interest rates, down. Everybody covered. We're going to see high numbers, 200, 300, 500. And they're going to say it's done. And that's it. But here's the thing, it's not the shorts, it's the FTDs.
yeah. Sorry, Randall was texting me. He sounds like he's coming back. Tomorrow he'll be on. I'm gonna see if Kringle wants to come in here. The kitten.
Yeah, I see Kringle. I love him. He's great.
Kringle, I'm sending you my Discord right now. Come in here. Come be friends. But yeah, you can keep talking, buddy. You're on a roll.
Talk too much. But I do feel, so if there's even like other content creators out there listening, or that find their way and hear this,
Kringle's
I
coming in.
feel
Let's go.
by having this separate mentality of the two different types of squeezes is very important. We have a short squeeze, and then we have this giant elephant of FDDs that have been swept under a rug by the market makers. That's the D squeeze, the MOAS.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, I don't really, like you said, I don't really see us getting there until we start changing something. Because, like you said, all these rules, I mean, they can track everything now. But even in December, that's the nice thing. In December, on December 13th, now all those people, even that didn't register to FINRA, so everybody's reporting to the CAT. So that should help clear up a lot of shit too. So I mean, if we don't know much more by December, or if more stuff doesn't appearing like fucked up, then yeah, I don't know. Then we have something more to worry about.
Hey, Kringle. Hey, so for anybody on YouTube, we are very active in the Twitter community, and if you guys don't know Kringle, Kringle is a very, very, very smart cat. He actually, I feel him giving himself an introduction is probably more beneficial because he knows more than what he does. But I did want to state that he is very active on Twitter and he does these space calls. And these space calls are amazing. They're great DD. They're a great source to come up and ask questions and get honest answers. And if nobody knows it, uh, we always usually bookmark it and try to find the answer for you. But yeah, thanks for coming in, Kringle.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, I've been scooping around. I haven't been active so much on Twitter, because we know obviously what's coming.
Yeah.
Because the cat system is actually cleaning a lot on the stock market because every position is getting marked for the FTDs to be being bought back and not being washed. And that's going to take some time until that all clears up, but eventually everything will be then covered because a lot of FTDs are out there in the wild. AMC, GME, Naked, whatever shorted position are there, is just that the way I see things, what's happening in the United States, right? So Congress, the Treasury, what's happening in China with Evergrande Bank, what's going on with the supply chain. So everything is kind of interconnected in some way, right? And I believe that the shorted securities it might be our best hedges against all of that mess happening in the world. Well, that's what I believe.
No, I mean I agree with everything you said, man. That CAD system, you know how much I've been going on about that CAD system in Phase 5, dude.
Oh yeah.
I love those things. If anything's gonna help us out, that's gonna be that for sure.
Yeah, it's just going to be a shit show with the banks right now because the commercial loans have been retracted. At least, well, on the side on Wells Fargo, and have received a memo that the personal loans are also affected, the credit lines. So something are happening with the banks, right? So Goldman Sachs, of course, we have Bank of America. Those are the big banks that have been troubled, uh, getting trouble lately, and of course with the state of the treasury bonds that are they have well, not negative yields, but they have very, very bad yields over the years. And considering the state of personal savings within the last quarter, I think we lost what, $2 trillion worth of personal savings during a quarter, and and the treasury, we suspended or at least cut spending in Medicare. In FEMA, we just had like Hurricane Ida, which is kind of, we cut the budget there. So, and of course, with uh, the high amounts of expenditures happening in the U.S., I mean, everything is lining up for an economic downturn, I guess.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
When this happens, man, it's gonna be real bad. I don't see how this isn't worse than 2008 for sure.
I still cannot get my head around what's happening in the world because everything is happening all at once. It's hard to actually, the mess that we're currently in, it's so unfathomable, but at a point that I think it's really sad to see that 99 or 98% of the population, of the arts population, they have no fucking idea what's going on.
Oh yeah, I mean when they
Oh
control the
yeah.
media, that's what's like you said. It's sad, dude. I can't tell you how many people I talk to, and they're like, "What are you talking about, dude? No one has
Yeah.
any idea what's coming on." And it's like, I
No,
bet
like
401ks are gonna be lost, dude. There's gonna be a lot of bad things happening.
Well, you tell people they're like, "Hey, the market's gonna crash," and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not in the market. I don't care."
It's it's funny but not funny because a lot of people have taken notice because of the high gas price, right? So you see the gas stations that all the prices are extremely elevated. Food prices are jacked up right now. Well, because of inflation, and inflation has taken some toll. At least in North America, but I don't know about Europe or Asia, but it could be felt, right? And I know in the United States, some of the data is $700 more expensive than it was in the last 3 months. For Canada, it's about 25 to 40% depending on where you're living. So that's crazy.
Sorry, I was
And it's the whole world that's in this terrible position, right? China's in a weird economic position. You know, no- honestly, I don't know how the EU is doing, but I do hear conversation that they're not doing quite so good either. And we obviously know the US isn't sitting quite well. How's Canada?
Um, well, at least the effects are felt with the gas price and food. But real estate is where there are a lot of houses to be sold, but no one's buying anymore because the prices are too expensive. And in the middle income neighborhood, usually a bungalow is worth like $400,000 at max. But now in some areas, it's worth like 1.2 and 1.3 million dollars for a fucking shitty house, a bungalow.
oh
Remember,
yeah.
this week we're going to get new verbiage on the economic status and the next couple months as well. I love how it's like we get this cryptic message that everybody has to decipher to figure out where the economy is going to move.
Oh yeah, and like you were saying with houses, dude, it's like, man, everything in my entire town, it wasn't even expensive. Now goes from like 180,000 to like a $350,000 house. There's barely any houses around us now. You're noticing apartments and complexes is going up more and more and more because they want you to keep renting. Shit's gonna get crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's terrifying to think that a lot of the firms are buying up massive amounts of farmlands and not to speak like residential and commercial buildings. So I'm not even talking about BlackRock and Blackstone, but in general, all of the firms that are more involved in those mass purchases in real estate. Just that it scares me that a lot of the population will be, being driven away and forced to go into the rental market because they just don't own anything anymore. The American
Yep.
dream is gone.
Oh yeah, dude. It's completely
That I
gone.
mean, real estate's the ultimate asset, right? Because you're always going to have an increased amount of demand, and you have a limited amount of supply. And I mean, that's why we're going to the Mars. We could have colonies on the moon as well. That could be another reason why we're going there. It's because real estate is one of the rarest things, and same with like minerals too. Like we're running out of oil. We're running out of clean water.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's gonna
Yeah,
be really scary here in
I,
like a year or
I've
two.
talked I've talked a lot about water. Besides gold, because gold and silver, precious metals are always the best hedges in a bear market. But gold, on long term, is just like it might be the next gold in the future because there's scarcity of water. It's not being felt in like at least in this generation or two generation from now, but going forward, 4 or 5 generations from now, it's just like people will be fighting over this.
I just want to point out we got TMI here giving a shout out to you guys. Thanks TMI for stopping in.
So if you want
Yeah,
to say
this
something.
ridiculousness about, the supply chain being disrupted by COVID, which is kind of understandable, but we have barely recovered, because of course we have the variants, and people are considering to go into lockdowns, and a lot of countries are being ambiguous whenever or not they accept if COVID is something that we have to live with. And then, with this disruption of the supply chain, right? I mean, if you haven't received your PlayStation 5 by now, there's a fucking problem.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah,
that is insane. How long those have been out and no one can still get them? It's insane, dude. Those
not
chips,
to
man.
only mention about chip shortages and semiconductors going in very, very short supply.
Well, yeah, like you said, the metals to make them is fucking impossible to find, and now they can't get enough people to go work, and then when everyone's sick and no one wants to go back to work now.
You know what's sad is that's something that should have been. Well, I mean, it was predicted many years ago on how the supply chain was kind of bottlenecked in this certain areas, and we should have had some local, suppliers for events like that we were currently in. And I think that's why Taiwan is a really big hot item as well because uh, they are a large supplier of our semiconductors outside of China.
Yeah, that's true. And despite China's going into financial trouble with their banking system and how their bonds are going to shit, but considering what happened to Hong Kong, right, and considering that China is willing to compete with the against the United States as being the next, global superpower, which is that they want to be part of the future, right? So their next target is pretty much like assimilate Taiwan and have it like their, closest or, leading manufacturer or supplier of semiconductors for their EV market.
Well, even Taiwan, if they were to take control of Taiwan, it it it's a very strategic military point. It allows access to that specific area. And if Taiwan were to be taken over, the U.S. couldn't get through there to Japan and to India. Uh, what is the oceanic area there? I can't remember what it is. It's the I have to look it up. But if they lose control of that area, it allows China to get into a stronger strategic, like a nuclear strategic point toward the U.S. so that they can hit the California coast and further in a lot easier if they were able to gain control of Taiwan.
And that is correct because Taiwan is one of the main international trading hubs that is actually being overseen by US and their allies, right? And that falling under obviously under China's control is not something that we would want.
Yeah, it would not be good at all. But now, I mean, now we have to look at Afghanistan too. Now we have that direction and the ties. They're already trying to create peaceful ties with Afghanistan and trying to gain foothold into the mineral mining and also just having access to that area.
That is correct. Afghanistan, Afghanistan has a lot of untapped resources because it's been war torn for so many years, and considering that there's no farmable lands, but a lot of minerals are still stuck there because war has been going on because there's no, mining industries. It's just like, yeah, mining it
Yeah, the
is.
in the precious like the minerals that they're actually trying to get to my understanding are very expensive to mine, so you actually have to invest a lot of capital to create that mining operation in the first place. And that's why it's almost a very large risk to mine in Afghanistan because these mining operations are constantly under attack. And to my understanding, that's why China wants to create these positive relations, so that way they can have this amnesty to mining there and give some sort of kickback as well. But I honestly think Pakistan is going to be the next hot topic, where Pakistan is going to be attacked by, Afghanistan and even possibly China and other places.
That is terrifying, but war never ends.
It doesn't, sadly. Even if there was one person left on this earth, he would fight with himself, or she would fight with herself.
All about those dollars, man. At the end of the day, war makes a fuck ton of money.
So I don't know if you caught my rant on the whole supply and demand portion there, Kringle. So basically, what's ending at what these market in my latest video, my point was that everybody says these hedge funds are the enemies, but in all reality, most of these hedge funds are becoming bag holders by the market makers. The market makers are the ones that are causing these issues, and what they're doing is they're suppressing the buying pressure, so they're decreasing the demand on a security, but on top of that, they're also increasing supply and failure to deliver. So these market makers have this responsibility for an illiquid stock, and I don't even necessarily know how it became illiquid, other than maybe illiquid in the OTC market somehow. But they become illiquid, and so they're allowed to create failure to delivers. And so what's happening is, the liquidity keeps going through this, this factory, and they create these failure to delivers, and instead of covering them, they just keep shoving them under the rug and then making more and more and more. And by doing that, I call this like I call this a parasitic liquidity. And because what happens is, by providing this liquidity and doing these methods, inherently every buy is lowering the price, because you're increasing supply, you're suppressing or decreasing demand, and this is on a buy. And by separating those two apart, you're lowering the value of the security. So a buy potentially is lowering the price. And this is how they're using this parasitic liquidity. It's the long con game that takes 4-6 years to do. Just a company just slowly just goes down because nobody knows what everybody else is doing. They're thinking somebody else is selling, but in all reality, it's people buying, and they're believing it because this company is believed to be a failing company. And so when they see this price going down no matter what, this long con game goes to a point where it goes to the OTC market. Either the company dissolves, or it goes to the pink sheets, and then eventually dissolves from there. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I always thought the market makers to be a very nefarious player on the market because they play both sides of the game. They have a fiduciary responsibility to create market, especially for those new companies wishing to go through an IPO, through an investment bank. So that's why they're there for. But also they are responsible, not responsible, but they are what's the right word? Held accountable for destroying companies, right? And of course, they if they're dealing, well, obviously, there's a conflict of interest right off the bat if they're already dealing. Um, you know, as part of the hedge fund area world, we operate as the same level as the retail because we operate at level two, right? Yes, the hedge funds, there are some nefarious players out there. I acknowledge that there are very very bad players out there. But essentially, we all operate the same level two, But market makers, they operate deeper in the book, level three, right? We as retail and hedge funds, we don't have access to those level three order books because that are exclusively, this is exclusively reserved for market makers. So they get to trade or make decisions in the market in advance than us, right? So they process, execute our orders ahead of us, per se, because they are deeper in the operating trades in the market. That gives them, somewhat an advantage, but also, there are always both sides of the coin. They create markets, but also if they are held accountable, they destroy markets as well. If there's conflicts of interest, but obviously they are more, you know, nefarious acts from coming from the market makers, because they destroy markets because it's fun, it's a game for them. And at this point at time during the bullish market, right, obviously they like to play both sides of the fence. They create and destroy markets, so they get to decide to write history, which is something that I do not agree with, because that gives them a hell lot of more power to these players, right? And of course, they don't have our best interests whenever, because obviously retail is the next superpower on the stock market, and we are basically a threat to them, because we have shifted a lot on the supply and demand chain, which gives trouble to the business of market maker.
I agree, and I like how you compared the levels. It's kind of like almost like a video game in a sense. Like us retail traders were level 1, and then you got like hedge funds and industry whales are kind of level 2, and then you have the market makers that are level 3. And
Although the
sadly, the
retail
more
can
you
have access to level 2, depending on the tools that you could have, right? But hedge funds and retail are mostly on the same level, level 2 on the order books. But
yep,
market makers, level 3.
yep, on the order books, absolutely. And that level 3 would be, like you said once before, that level 3 would be interesting. That'd be like when Marty McFly goes back or goes into the future and gets this the book that gives him all the insight to the markets and or the bookies. It'd be like that. By having that level 3, you'd be able to predict the market so well.
Yeah. And of course, there are, I talk to some other hedge funds, right? And, they tell me a bit of their personal stories. Of course, they don't dig into details, but also they're fighting against the market makers. Because because the hedge funds, they have a duty to report to the SEC, right? Because if we trade over $100 million worth of assets under management, we have to report to the SEC of our trades. But that's all public information, right? And the market makers, they see our positions. Not only they are deeper in the order books, but they get to see our information that is already disclosed to the SEC. So if we're going long without hedging our positions, right, well, you can see accounts getting completely wiped out from market makers, because they see that, oh shit, this guy is not protecting himself, so let's wipe his fund out. So,
I,
you know,
I never think of it. I mean, that's actually a really good point of view.
right.
That's deep, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so that's why my fund is always taking profits on the way up and always profits on the way down, because we always report to the SEC. If we're not careful for, by 2 or 3 reports they get to see our positions, then obviously they can wipe out our fund if we're not too careful. It's just how it is.
And they don't have to report. Hopefully that
uh,
changes. Yeah, I mean, that's what we want.
yeah, yeah.
I
Hello,
mean, as
Bus
into the
Ones.
point where everybody can see it. Everybody should be able to at see each other at the same level, I feel.
Right.
What's up,
It
boss?
would be great if the market makers. Oh, it would be great if the market makers, considering they operate deeper in the book, right? They don't have to. Of course, they have to, report their positions as being the market makers through FINRA, right? But I don't think they should be dealing with their own accounts, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
agreed.
So they can create
No,
markets, they can destroy markets whenever they want, but they should not be dealing with their own, portfolio.
absolutely. I totally agree with that. Another thing that Biggums and I were talking about is, so when they increase this amount of supply on the FTDs, that actually manipulates the short data as well. And people need to realize that as well. So like if they're getting a lot of liquidity coming in or however they want to show their FTDs, uh, that can change the short interest data and just the short data alone.
Hello, boss.
Yeah, we got Boss Blunts in here, guys.
What's going on, fam? How's Ape Nation? How are you guys? Kringle, Wired, Biggums. Good to see y'all.
Good, how you doing, man?
We're just waiting for the market to open.
I'm great. I'm doing the same thing, man. I just pumped a bunch of money into my account on Friday. I did a nice little wire transfer, and it fucking cleared. So I can't wait for the market to open so I can start buying some more shit. So right there with you guys.
Let's go.
So like Thinkorswim. So I've been using TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim, and they're tick by tick. I don't know if you use them, but if you make a direct to exchange purchase tomorrow, make it interesting. Record it. You're putting content on YouTube too, right, boss? Like I want to see what a lit order. Like let's do some experimentation. I want to see what a good lit order looks like on on camera.
I'm sure I could do that. Sometimes they take a little longer to process just because you're going direct to a certain exchange instead of letting their smart algorithm or whatever do its thing. But I use like Interactive Brokers and Fidelity a lot. And I like them both. I like IBKR more, but that's just my opinion. You know, they're both great platforms. So is, TD and Ameritrade. But yeah, I'll definitely take a video and post that
Yeah,
up because that's a great
if
idea.
you can if you can see it by the tick, that I mean that's and may I recommend from when I dink around, it's fun to do in a very like a low volume time. So like when volume's down to that 100 shares or less block, that's the fun time to do it.
So lunchtime,
Yeah.
that sounds cool. I'm gonna try that out. I'll try it out. I'll see if it works out. I do have the level 2 data and all that stuff unlocked and just to make sure. Because yeah, I need that millisecond update. You know how it is. Chart watcher.
Yeah, because like I mean, not very often do I have opportunities for buys, and it's fun to kind of see, what your buys are doing in certain scenarios. Well, I'll dink around with it when it seems like we're being shorted. I'll throw some like single odd lot orders out there here and there every once in a while to see if it kind of throws some wrenches in.
Yeah, can you explain how you do those? How do you purposely create an order to seem or to be an odd lot type of person? Explain that to me, brother, because I'm that's new to me.
So like
I
when
know
I so an
how
odd
you.
lot order is an order of 100 shares or less, but like so on like Thinkorswim, it's super easy for me. So I'll just go to the AMC, I'll slap the ask, but then that'll pull up my order, and then from there I'll bump my order up to what's called what is that called? Market limit order. So I'll be at the ask or higher, right? Typically I'll bump it up like 10 or 16 or 26 cents or so, and then because for me on one share, what's 26 cents like with this whole idea that retail traders want best execution, and that's why we use payment to order flow. Most of the time we don't give a crap about a couple of cents. Like we're just buying a share to buy a share to see what I would say a majority of retail traders, they're just buying it. Like they're looking at, oh, 46 bucks and some odd cents, that looks good, I want it. I just want my AMC. But so anyways, I'm ranting off, but I do it like a market limit order of like 10, 16, 26 cents or more, and then I can kick it down to one share and then change it because it has to be a limit order obviously, and then I just change it to NASDAQ and send it off. Easy as that.
Yeah, that is pretty easy. All right, I'm gonna try that. I've never.
And to my understanding too, with Thinkorswim, it's really good for the active day trader as well, because you can put in your orders on the level twos, and you can, to my understanding, you can even choose what exchange you want when you're playing those too. So like if you wanted these, when it hits this mark, I want it to order on NASDAQ for this many shares, and you can set it up that way. Like there is very little to no limitation on Thinkorswim.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been trying. I've been thinking about trying Thinkorswim as well. And not to change the subject or anything, but somebody was literally just asking, how we feel about certain things. As especially one thing I wanted to ask you guys. They asked, do you see them? John Curtis asked, do you see them trying to delist the stock to stop the MOAS? And I think by them he's asking, market makers, banks, the Federal Reserve, anybody who has the ability to do so, the SEC or the DTCC. So just give us your opinion, guys. Let's go one by one here and let the people know how we feel about it. Do you think that it'll be delisted?
So we're talking about AMC, right?
AMC or GameStop? Yes, let's try
Okay,
both.
okay. So not I see this as an honest question, so I'm gonna answer it honestly as well. No, absolutely not, because there's actually like there's certain criteria that makes a stock get delisted. Either A, it does something nefarious that the regulations kick them off for being nefarious, or B, they hit this criteria of the company's below this value for so long, then they get either they get delisted no matter what, and they move to like the pink sheets, or they just dissolve as a company overall or go private, right? Though that's the direction. So for an order for a company to be delisted, they, like I said, they have to meet certain criteria, or the company has to either go private, which that's not going to happen because they have that involves money, or they're going to have to do something nefarious, and the SEC is going to kick them off. And to my understanding, I'm almost 100% sure, AMC and GME aren't doing anything nefarious, and it's more the market makers. But that's my opinion, guys.
What about you, Kringle? Any chance you happen to be here?
Yeah, yeah, hello. Yeah, I actually agree with Wired. There's no way that AMC or GameStop will be delisted. It has to be for fraudulent acts on the stock market done by the company, or because the price is so undervalued under the Nasdaq, they have to get downgrade towards the pink sheet, or as considered as a penny stock, so, or being traded as the OTC. But that's beside the point. It's just like, nah, there's no way. There are some criteria, and I agree.
That's excellent. So yeah. So I think we're pretty clear here. Wired and Kringle both believe that everything that's happening with AMC and GameStop is on the up and up, and I agree. While hedge funds and market makers may be doing nefarious things, I don't believe that Adam Aaron or that Ryan Cohen are doing anything in the slightest bit illegal. And as a matter of fact, I believe they're being extra careful to make sure that they follow the law to the letter. So I do agree with you guys. What about you, Biggums? What do you think, brother?
No, yeah, I totally agree, man. There's no way they're gonna delist it. I don't think that's an option in any way, shape, or form.
And speaking of tiptoeing, so let's talk about like this crypto dividend, this blockchain dividend that could potentially happen. I wanted to state that these CEOs aren't going to sit there and say, yeah, we're going to create this blockchain dividend. We're going to mow ass, we're going to hit this, D squeeze. But no, they can't do that because that's market manipulation. If the retail traders or if the industry shows interest in a blockchain dividend or just blockchain technology overall, they're going to pursue it. And if perhaps a blockchain dividend did come out with AMC, it's harder because they have to be profitable to be give a dividend. But let's just per se, if they explored blockchain and they wanted to eventually get into a dividend, they could create this penny block share, blockchain dividend, on a test and give it as a reward to their investors. Yeah, I mean, there's that potential, or they can create it, or they need to force share recall, all of these things in order to create it but not issue it. There are potential possibilities out there, um but I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on it as well.
For now, it's just like smoky mirrors for the time being, because that's just a possibility. And considering Gary Gensler is putting his hand on the crypto space, and we just don't know where he's signing on in terms of regulations and in terms of the crypto space. So I'm more like on the sidelines and whatever what to think about that crypto dividend for the time being. So that remains to see. And of course, the GameStop. And I'm not sure about AMC, but GameStop, I believe that there's an investigation going on, and I just want to reassure you that as GameStop, they cannot disclose any information regarding to an investigation because that's illegal. They have to comply with the SEC, whatever they have going on with their stock. So that's part of the process. They're not going to disclose any public information until that investigation is over. So, you know, that being said,
I,
yeah.
I agree. No, I completely agree. We're not going to hear them announce these things. I do feel it's, if you believe in it, it's healthy to express your interest as retail traders, and support it. but don't count on it, right? So I think that's the point you're trying to make there, Kringle.
Yeah, Gary Gensler, I believe there's something going on with Coinbase. So, Coinbase CEO is very confused about the SEC's doing on regulating, crypto dividends. It's still considered as a security, right? But people are generating like interest upon holding their coins in the crypto space, and by definition, with the SEC, like if you hold a security and if you generate interest on that, it's still considered as a security, and they have to regulate that, to my understanding. And it's we don't know. If Coinbase is going to be heavily regulated, I believe that all of those exchanges on crypto will be also regulated. Well, depending on how the lending aspect is considered as a business model, right? So it has all to do with the lending. Back in 2008, the very what caused the big crash was about the CDOs, the synthetics and whatnot, and the positions taken on the stock market. But you know, and that has to do with lending, over lending, over leverage, and they don't want that to happen with crypto. And it's just like crypto is still a new world, and considering how our political representatives, besides Gary Gensler, they don't understand that world yet. That remains to be seen.
I agree. Crypto definitely needs we definitely need transparency and regulation in crypto, because we're seeing a lot of the manipulation and tactics that we see in the stock market moving into the crypto market. And crypto is the new Cayman Islands, really, in my eyes. Boss.
It's the Wild West for sure. It's the fucking Wild West. We love crypto. And this GME NFT, for those people that don't know what that is, it's a non-fungible token. It's basically a dividend that would be, given or paid out to everybody that owns a share of GameStop based on the number of shares that you own. And that being the case, if I'm understanding it correctly, that's when a dividend is created, for example, whether it be a cash dividend, whether it be a crypto NFT dividend, one of these pieces of cash or one of these pieces of NFT must be delivered to every shareholder for every share that they own, for example. And if it comes to it, when all of these naked shorts and synthetic shorters have to close their positions or they have to pay out this dividend, it'll kind of bring a realization as to how many synthetics are actually out there. So it is something that could possibly, I think, cause some overall short squeezes, but there's a lot of variables involved there. We're a long ways off, I believe, from that.
Well, I think that's a confusion a lot of people need to understand as well.
Please
So first
explain.
of all, for like a dividend alone it won't cause a squeeze typically, like, so especially in this D squeeze that I'm talking about, this FTDs, it's the normal dividends not going to flush those out. And even a crypto dividend specifically, it has to be this blockchain dividend, like in the overstock scenario. And what was special about this blockchain dividend is it was backed by the securities, and it required 100% of all the FTDs, all the securities, basically to be recalled to be able to create these dividends. And so all the failure delivers had to be recalled just to mint these cryptos. Like I mean, just to mint this blockchain, not an NFT, the blockchain dividend itself, right? So that's what caused it. So even just like issuing a crypto, it's not about it. What causes the shares to come back is to have them minted, in a sense. And I feel a video is definitely in order for this, going over the overstock crypto, because it's a lot deeper than what people feel it is. It's not as easy as they think it is, but it was like an intricate orchestra that just It was an amazing plan. Whoever put that plan together, it was an amazing plan because they knew it was about the failure to delivers and not about the shorts. And what they did caused failure to delivers to be flushed out. 100% of them, and all of them, accounted for.
So what you're saying is that it's not necessarily the fact that it's crypto that's being issued as a dividend or an NFT, but the fact that it has to be uh, direct because the way the blockchain works and that all of these FTDs and these shares have to be recalled. Am I understanding that correctly, guys?
Yes, exactly. So how it works is what causes it to recall them. It's not because they have to issue this dividend. And another sweet thing about this is with the regulation on the crypto, because it's a newly minted crypto, it locked it up for I think it was like 6 months. So these people, these people that had these like FTDs and these naked shorts and shorts, they couldn't go out there and just buy these dividends because they're frozen and locked. There's nothing out there. So they had to be created from these shares, and that's why they had to be called for. Because there was nothing out there. They had to be created from all the shares in order to have it out there. And then it was locked up for 6 months. So even after it was, let's just say they, created half of them, right? And they would think it would go into circulation, people would sell them off or whatever, and then they would get it and then they would issue to it. They couldn't even do that because for 6 months it couldn't be traded. So I mean, it was the most genius plan ever, and I think that's why I strongly feel, if the CEOs of AMC and GME look at it and how they can fix this situation, that's within their grasp. That whole controllables. I talk about controllables for us. Well, they have controllables too, and what's their controllables? That's their controllables. Make the company really good, strong, get to a point where you can do these dividends or find a way you can do it, and then just watch things burn.
Oh yeah, burn it all down. Burn it the fuck down. Let's start over.
Yeah, because law they're doing everything they're doing is legal. Law has no ground here anymore. At this point in time, you have to let the kid fail so that way it sets an example for them and for everybody around them.
That's what makes me think that they're not going to bail out the majority of these hedge funds. I think banks may get some bailouts because the government needs them, but I truly believe that they're probably going to let these hedge funds go underwater and bankrupt. What do you guys think?
Well, that's the thing. It's not necessarily the hedge funds. It's the banks and the market makers. Like the market makers are the banks. That's where these market makers are the ones sweeping these failure. I don't know if you caught it earlier, but I'm going to give my rant for the third time tonight about supply and demand, right? So
Oh, bro.
did you hear earlier about what these market makers are doing is they make profit on liquidity, right? The more liquidity comes through, they profit off the transaction. Like it's just like a credit card company. But what's happening is when they're providing this liquidity, they suppress the demand, right? They send our orders to the dark pool, they suppress the demand, but then they increase the supply by creating these failure to delivers under some loophole because it's an illiquid stock, right? And so they continue to do this. And so when you're suppressing the demand and you're increasing the supply, what happens, right? They spread apart and the stock inherently goes down. And this is on a buying. This is on a buy. When you buy, you suppress the demand and you increase the supply. When you buy, the price goes down. It's the perfect business. It's 100% legal. It's the long con. I call it the liquidity parasite or the parasitic liquidity, right? Because it takes 4 to 6 years for it to happen because people are buying, the price is going down. Nobody knows what everybody's doing. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm buying, somebody else is selling because the fundamentals on this company isn't good. So they're going to believe, yeah, people are selling. But in all reality, everybody's buying and the price is going down to the point where it goes to pink sheets or dissolves. And then they profit. And it's legal. And that's what's happening, dude.
For those of you that don't know what happens when these companies go bankrupt or they're shorted into bankruptcy, like Toys R Us, these hedge funds and market makers don't have to report any of these naked shorts, and I believe they don't have to pay capital gains because they don't have to buy back any shares.
Yeah, and this short that people are thinking of, they're thinking of like hedge fund shorts, right? Like, Kringle, they'll as a hedge fund, they see an opportunity to short because stocks will get too high sometimes. And so you see those opportunities. Yes, it's oversold. And so they're going to short it down and make a little quick profit. That's just normal. But that's a whole separate short from the market makers, right? These market makers and wholesalers, it's not a short like that. So these shorts are we should consider them failure to delivers in this. And so when these companies go down to when they dissolve, all those failure to delivers are melted. They're gone. They're done with, right? It's not the shorts like where they shorted the stock down and they planned
Literally
on
able to
buying
get away.
back.
You're saying they're literally able to get away with all these failure to delivers when they short a company into bankruptcy, like they did with Toys R Us and Blockbuster, right?
Exactly, right? So this long con, they have this rug full of years of failure to delivers. There's these elephants under the rug full of failure to delivers they've been hiding, right? Because when the company dissolves, the failure to delivers disappear. It's done. It's off the books. Like they basically were a parasite that provided liquidity that drove the stock down to zero, and it's done with. They profited off all of it.
That's a great point. If anybody wants to jump in, by all means, I wanted to ask you guys, Pringle and Wired and Biggums, what do you guys think about the situation with what we're seeing lately with certain dead zombie stocks, as people like to call them? What do you guys think about these zombie stocks, and their relation to what's currently happening in the market? Out of curiosity, your opinion.
From what I see in the order books, is I believe that's part of the market makers may creating movement in those zombie stocks to generate liquidity. That's all there is.
Do you think they're pumping them, or do you think what else is going on? How are they using these stocks, or what's going on with them that they jumped and ran so high? Are they closing out positions, pumping them? What's going on, brother?
A
It's
lot of these
a
zombies, the
it's a
reporting on
pump
these
in
zombie
my
stocks,
yeah, it's a pump in my opinion.
and the reporting is terrible on them too, right? So like, let's just that could have been something from a month ago, and they just updated it, right? Those movements could be you never know what's going on in the OTC market 100%. And it could be something. It could be these failure because remember these zombie stocks. If Sears was in this, it was a victim to this parasitic liquidity. That means Sears has like a ton of FTDs, at a penny or less or whatever, hiding under their carpet. And so it could be, some of these market rule changes that are going on, and that's why I'm kind of keeping an eye on Sears to see what's going on with it. Is because potentially they could have covered, right? But it's easy to cover when you're talking at a fraction of a cent.
I think maybe they closed out their FTDs, and that could possibly be what ran it up from a fraction of a cent to bucks, dollars that we were looking at.
That was something that I am assuming and I'm keeping an eye out on, right? So like how I do my DD is I see some sort of crazy movement or some sort of new information that makes me question or makes people question it. And so I try to assume every scenario from different angles, and then I keep an eye on it with those in my head at all times. And so if I see a change that kind of gears me toward to believe my original theories more, I'll try to dig deeper into it. But at this point in time, there's just not enough there, and there's not really enough beneficial information I can get from it if I did discover something.
Yeah, that's a great
There's
point.
yeah,
Appreciate your insight.
there's not much showing on my terminal whenever I see those zombie stocks, but from my point of view and opinion, it's mostly market makers movement to generate interest into those stocks for create bag holders for them to get out. They create market and they destroy markets. That's all they do.
Right, and I recently made a video on pink sheet stocks too, because there's that new rule change where we have the, what do they call that, the expert market that a lot of these are going to be going to. So if they don't have proper reporting, or if they don't meet the criteria, they're going to move to this expert market, or like the pink sheet graveyard, one of those two. Pink sheet graveyard is basically where OTC stocks are just going to die no matter what. they're pretty much dead. And then you have this expert market. And what kind of grinds my gears on the expert market though is, quote unquote, it's an expert market. Only specific people, market makers, more specifically, can see what's going. It's fine that retail or even small hedge funds or whatever can't trade in this expert market because they want to quote unquote protect us. But when they say we can't see what's going on in there, that's what bothers me. That just provides opportunities for back end trades, shady trades, even trades with the government, right? So that could be a way of escaping certain things. I feel no matter what, the market should be lit in some sort. Even if we can't trade in it, we should know as retail traders what's going on in our market.
Hey, Kringle.
That's a fucking.
Do you want to talk about how you feel about the CAT system real quick? Everyone in chat wants to hear your opinion on it. If you're still there, my friend. I don't know if he's still there. Go ahead and keep talking, guys.
We'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back.
Probably went to go get another saucer of milk.
Yeah, I figured I'd just let you guys keep going.
Dude, I feel like I talk way too much sometimes.
You're fine, man. I figured they can hear me anytime, so I'd let you guys keep going. Boss, what's your thoughts on the cat? I don't know if you've done much research on it or not.
The CAT system is the best thing to happen in the stock market in a long time. For those that don't know, oats is out, cats are in. CATS, it's a new system, it's a new implementation, in the way that they're handling shorting. So it's going to significantly reduce the speed and the opportunities at which they can naked short or write out actual naked shorts because they must be manually written. I'm so fucking pumped. It's going to be fantastic for the market. And from my understanding, maybe you guys can help clarify. It's only partially implemented, and it should be completely fully implemented over the next few weeks. Is that correct?
No, well, no. The hell was that?
That's Kringle, dude.
That was the Kringle he
You've
made.
never heard Kringle meow, dude? Like Kringle meows in space calls all the time. That's his yes.
Alright, Kringle. That means everyone shut up. Kringle's got something to say.
The CAT system. I think the last phase of the implementation should be like in a few weeks or months now. There are some projects that would be extended back to December, but I don't know all of the updates. But yeah, it's going
I
to
got
be
them all
a
down.
slow. Yeah, it's going to be a slow phase of implementation, but most of the backend system are already there to support the market already to phase out the old system.
Yeah, and everybody that doesn't report to FINRA currently will, and like I said, all that will start happening on December 13th, and then next year in April they're supposed to be getting everybody's customer information as well. So everybody's trade will have a broker ID attached to it and a customer ID. So that way your guys' information can't be taken still. So they'd have to still break into your broker, but that won't happen until next year in April.
From a technical standpoint, I come from database systems. I want to point out that the OAT system and when it was created and what kind of database system it had to been on compared to this new system and how technology has like drastically advanced in databases because, the most important, most valuable thing I feel on Earth right now in the technology side is data. Like data is huge. So this new system is the Ferrari. It's gonna be able to handle everything. And as you mentioned, this ID system that they got going on, it sounds like they're definitely knowing what they're doing for sure because that's a good way where they're going to have the broker ID and basically your broker is going to handle all these kind of sub accounts. They're going to have their own database system that the SEC can pull into if they need be. It's going to be a standardized system as well. I feel they're going to have flags. So basically, how a database you can set it up if certain scenarios or events happen within this database, it will send an alert. So like the SEC will get an alert like a specific malicious activity has happened, or they can go from in an event that happened that didn't know what went on. They can go back and see almost replay real time exactly what happened, and they can record and log that event to report when it happens again. So they can in a sense get an ESP of corruption eventually as things progress. So I'm excited about it on a technical standpoint.
Yeah, dude, the cat's gonna be awesome, especially with Phase 5. Like I said, the fact that they can now watch ISDA and they can't just make synthetics up the ass like that, or roll over shorts, or roll over FTDs. Like I said, that's gonna start. You're gonna see a huge impact, or you should. Like I said, they can't hide all this stuff, and they can't keep rolling FTDs over, which is massive. And like you're saying, this entire process is them just creating FTDs like crazy.
Dude, I just see a meme forming right now with like all the powerful cats in the community. I mean, we have the cat system, we have Titan, we have Kringle. I just see them doing like the power walk.
Yeah, that's what we need, man. I need that in my life.
Trying to get Jackson in here, but he's just listening because he's a big jerk. Come up here and be friends with us.
Jackson's chilling, man. He's in Cali right now.
Oh, is he?
Fucking
Okay.
relax. Yeah, no, he's chilling, brother. Probably like I'm just gonna listen. Fuck it. I do enough live shows.
Oh yeah, I suppose. He needs a night off.
Hey, what's up, Jackson?
What the fuck is good?
What up, buddy? How you doing? You heard me talking shit?
I'm watching you on my TV.
Let's go. How you
Dude,
doing?
I just want to let you guys know the Moaz is going to happen someday.
Oh yeah. It'll
Dude,
happen, boys.
that's a genius right there. That man is a
Someday.
genius.
Dude, the squeeze
I love
is
it.
going to hold up. The squeeze is going to happen someday.
Right, right.
I do. I love the pause. Like the pause was like perfect.
I've been watching the last like 20 minutes and I was thinking about doing that joke and now I did it. So my night's complete.
Fucking gangster.
Well played though.
How you
It's
doing,
just like
buddy?
the pause put me on the edge of the seat.
Now everybody's leaving the stream. Sorry, Biggums.
Wow, you just ruined it all, man. What you up to, man?
I'm eating cake, and I just invited PJ Matlock to come on my channel.
Damn, did he accept?
Nice.
We'll see, man. I got so much respect for all of Atlas, really.
Oh yeah, dude. Him and Zach, they're smart as fuck.
Yeah, I
Tell me
learned
who
a
the hell
lot.
this guy is. Brother, please. Who the hell is this guy?
Who is he?
Yes, sir. Who's this that we're talking about?
Oh, so there's a trading group. It's a Discord of like 200,000 people. It's free, and it's called Atlas Trading. And they give out trade ideas. They teach you. There's so much free education, and they just teach people how to trade. And they do it all for free. I've been in the group for almost a year. It's a couple guys: Zach Morris, PJ Matlock, Hugh Hen, Dan Deity of Dips, Ripster, and you can just soak up game, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm pulling them up right now on Twitter. These guys are super smart. They're really, really good traders.
Yeah, Zach's pretty cool.
Yeah, they bank like real money.
That sounds awesome, dude. I'm pumped. Hopefully it comes on your channel, brother. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure he's a busy dude.
Yeah, probably, but still. Anyways, I just want to say, yo, thanks again, Jackson, for being a gangster and letting me on your show and giving us all a platform, Bigums and myself, to discuss with the people, man. You're a real badass and a good person, man. I love you, brother. You're the shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
Dude, you're welcome back whenever.
I have to take you up on that just to come by and say what's up on your channel.
Dude, your channel is blowing up too. Dang, man.
I'm trying,
What are you
brother. I
at
gotta
now,
get the word
boss?
out. Gotta get the word out. You know, that's it. Somebody did ask me about the CPI, if I'm pumped for the Consumer Price Index that comes out in 2 days. And for those that don't know, I am pretty pumped about it. I just want to jump in and say that. Rafi asked me in the live chat. It's the CPI is the measure of like change over time in prices that are paid by consumers, and they're constantly changing. Like what the fuck is in these categories? You know, like food, energy, all items, you know, things like that. So yeah, they are actually skewing the numbers on purpose. And starting in January of 2022, they're going to start using numbers calculated from 2019 to 2020. So I don't know what the hell they're doing, but it's definitely some fuckery going on there. And
So
I'm really pumped with the numbers.
We're gonna get some Fed taper verbiage coming this week too. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the Fed can talk about tapering or not. I think they're going to say they're not going to taper because they know how bad the economy is. But at the same time, knowing that they're probably implicit in everything that's happening, I wouldn't be surprised if I do hear them start talking about tapering just to get the whole fucking show on the road, if you know what I'm saying. The whole
Yeah.
short sweep debt ceiling debacle, because they know what happens when the debt ceiling pops. But again, that's just another story for another day. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen?
Yeah, I can see them sitting there say like, "Hey, we're not going to taper, but you should prepare." But we're not going to taper. But yeah, you should
Yeah.
prepare.
They're going to pretend like, like they're not going to start it, or they are going to start tapering, and then after the fact, when there is some sort of market correction, they're going to be like, "Oh, my bad, never mind, we're not going to taper for a few more months and just back off of their position." But whatever.
It,
That's
here's another conversation. I personally believe that the industry whales they've already exited, right? Like, or I mean, because typically what happens is when they're exiting, they're going to pump a stock or they're going to pump a security, and they're going to exit on the up. That's from my little circle of knowledge that I have. That's typically what you see. Do you feel there's a lot of whales still in like these blue chip stocks, or do you feel they've exited? They're sitting in crypto and they're waiting for this correction because that's what I feel. They're in crypto. They've been pumping crypto for a long time to sit in it for this correctional moment, and then when the dip goes dipping, that's where they're going to exit crypto and buy the dip. Like I feel crypto was just a placeholder for this correction.
that's a complicated question, and I definitely want to answer. But I was just wondering if Kringle or Jackson or Bigum's got any input on this first.
Yeah, I mean, I got an opinion. I've been following crypto for a little while. Everyone knows it follows a cycle, right? Every time it has its halvening, and it was on a bull run up until it hit 64,000 for Bitcoin a couple months ago, and then just went straight back down to like 28,000, and in a very short period of time. And so, for me, it's hard to decipher how much of that was the natural Bitcoin cycle, right? Or how much of it was institutions or whales dumping. I think the jury is still out on that one. It's weird. It's hard to tell because, dude, Litecoin went up to like $400 and something, and then it went back down to like $110, and so it's just difficult for me to decipher if that's the natural crypto cycle or dumping. That's where I'm at with it.
Right, and I feel that's why we need transparency. Right, I know it's supposed to be decentralized, blah blah blah, but I feel it's healthy to know if industry whales are moving in and out. People that have enough in the position to sway the market.
Yeah, and just recently we saw that it was Bitcoin dropped 11% in one day. It might have been higher, but like that's not normal. I think everybody in this room knows that that's not normal. If you watch crypto at all, it doesn't drop 11% in a day unless big whales are exiting. Like that was not caused by El Salvador adopting it as their country's currency. That was not at all what it was, and it was also not retail. Retail doesn't have the monetary power to push it 11% in one day. So
Right.
that was super strange. So maybe that was taking profit, and this ties into it as well. Like the presidents of the Fed, I forget which cities there. I think Chicago or something. Kaplan and Rosengren. They're gonna dump all their stocks by the end of this month, and then they claim it's because of ethics concerns. I don't think that's what it is. I think they know what's around the corner, and so like if the presidents of some sects of the Federal Reserve are dumping all of their stocks, and it literally says they're gonna go either partial cash or full cash, which they're probably gonna go full cash. Like, dude, those
Yeah,
people
I
know
saw
what's
that too.
going on.
And we know three things, right? One, insider trading is legal for Congress. Okay. Two, when the head of the Federal Reserve the president of the Fed is telling you that they're selling off all their blue chip fucking stocks, then you know that you've got a problem. And then three, when you see the list that Congress recently released last week of all of their blue chips that they're dropping and they're selling off, that really puts your ears up and makes you, stand at attention. So we got three huge facts and indicators pointing at several things. And what are they, in my opinion? They know what the fuck the situation is with these banks, and they know what the hell happens every time there's a debt ceiling issue and a fucking argument, because the same Republicans and the same Democrats that are currently in Congress were in Congress back in 2013 and 2011 when they did this exact same shit.
Yeah,
but what
I
is the
find it
one
funny.
that listed? AMC and fucking GameStop. Because nobody's what, Jackson? Nobody's what?
I mean, nobody's selling this thing. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And also, Burry just tweeted what, today or yesterday, about that. That email was so
Michael
interesting.
Burry came back today. Michael fucking Burry came back to Twitter today, or yesterday, technically, whatever the fuck it was, man. That was sick. He posted
Yeah,
Dude.
dude. Well,
Yeah, I
That was
posted
so
it up on
interesting to
Facebook.
read that email.
Oh yeah, it's super cool, dude. That's history,
but
man.
I want to point out that these guys, like, I have this mental picture of these guys just sneaking out stocks and selling them, and people are catching them, and they're saying, "Oh, nothing to see here, guys. We're just trying to not look like we're being shady," right? Like they're literally saying they're trying to look like they're not being shady by having stocks in the market, but they're all exiting because it's going to crash. I mean, come on.
What you guys were saying about crypto, I think, is completely on point. We've seen every fucking Friday, 15 minutes after the market closes, crypto pumps hard as shit. And every damn Sunday, 1 to 2 in the morning, crypto dumps. And it's getting worse and worse over the last several weeks. And just this last week, we're having crypto dumps and, power moves in the middle of a fucking day on a Monday or whatever the hell it was, or a Tuesday. This isn't a natural dump where they're saying that the mainstream media came out and said there were a lot of people whose sell limit orders were triggered because of a downturn in crypto. And they're trying to play it off like retailers like you and I were able to cause massive price drops all across the board in all cryptocurrencies, large and small. There's no fucking way that retail, if we all took our crypto and sold it right now, there's no way that it would affect it anywhere near as much as what happened just this, Monday or Tuesday. We were seeing, 5-10% drops on every single cryptocurrency. That is not normal. This is not the kind of thing that happens unless they are, in my opinion, trying to meet margin requirements or taking profits. And I think it's the latter.
Nah, I agree with you, man. Crypto's way too hard to tell right now. But yeah, I think that's where a lot of those
It's the
big.
wild fucking west, man. Cryptocurrency is the wild fucking west. People are like, oh, should I invest my money in crypto right now? I don't fucking know. What do you think is going to happen to crypto again the next time these guys are hurting for liquidity? Do you think it's going to
Oh
go up?
yeah, they're gonna just keep taking from it. Like you guys said, they're not fucking tracking anything, so you don't know what's going on. They see when it's at the most, they're seeing when that peak's going up, when they got that profit, then they just sell. They know everybody's going to keep buying on the weekends because stock markets are closed. So everybody's got to get that itch filled in, so they're going to buy on, Saturday. And guess what happens Sunday? Crash, 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 crash.
Yeah, but the cool thing about these new altcoins is they're whale proofing it. They're putting in these tokenomics so that you cannot crash the entire market cap in a fucking day. So I think some people know, but I'm working on a cryptocurrency with a friend of mine, and there's these altcoins that you can't do what is happening to Bitcoin to them because you have to like pay a certain amount of taxes and there's like withdrawal limits and blah 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 to save it so whales don't dump and screw the rest of the community. So there are some cool revelations coming out with new cryptos. So I'm stoked on that.
Jackson, while you're on the topic, would you mind touching on is tell people just a little bit about the way that incentives work on crypto and holding it, just because a lot of people are not aware that this is actually a thing because big cryptos are not doing this. Could you explain a little bit about that just for everybody?
Yeah, for sure. There's a whole world of altcoins, right? They come out every single day, and even one of my viewers just launched her own coin the other day. So altcoins have tokenomics, It's like how the token it's the taxes on the buying orders, and it's the taxes on the selling orders. So like an altcoin, say I'm buying like ApeCoin. I don't know if that exists, but when I buy, I actually pay around a 10% tax on that. And so like 1% will go back into marketing for the coin. 2% will go to, sometimes they have burn funds, and it's like a communal fund, right? And they'll divvy that out. And so the longer you hold the coin, you get divvied out percentages of that. It's like the pool of money in the middle of the monopoly board. And so it incentivizes long-term holders. And a lot of these altcoins are adopting these tokenomics. It's very regular, you know, nowadays. And so a lot of these altcoins are very forward thinking. And then there's the whole world of staking, which I'm still learning about. But basically, you know, the longer you hold the coin for, the more you get paid out, like an interest. And I believe that's staking. And so there's all these, because when the first altcoins came out, people called them shit coins, right? But now they're fixing the flaws that they had, because before, a couple rich guys would just come in, pump that shit for a couple days, and then just take the money out, and it screws the rest of the investors. I mean, I've literally I've been an investor in a coin that just did that recently. And so they're coming up with new ways where the whales can't screw the rest of the group. The guys that don't have fucking 50 grand to invest, they only have $500. So there's a lot of really cool technology going on with altcoins, and it's all because of cryptography and the tokenomics that are being created. And so I fully believe crypto is the future. But yeah, I'm excited to launch my coin coming out, and I'll talk more about it when I get the green light. But I mean, the U.S. dollar is
Yeah.
going to crap, man. It's like, so like we have less buying power now than there was in 1969. It's just the U.S. dollar is not working anymore. And speaking of tapering, correct me if I'm wrong, but Europe started tapering already. I believe. So
Europe started tapering, and what happened? Their fucking euro bonds are now negative. The European bonds are worth less than are actually losing money because of inflation. That's what happened.
for the first
You
time
know,
ever, right?
I don't know if it's the first time ever, to be honest, but I think you're
Yeah.
right. Maybe Bingo would know better than I would, but I think you're right. I think I recall reading that. That's absolute
Wait, what were you guys
craziness.
saying? First time ever? What?
Euro bonds are negative. They're actually losing value. The bank bonds in Europe are literally negative. These are akin to the same thing as like the 3-month Treasury note for the United States. These 3-month Treasury
Yeah, it is.
bonds.
It's the first time. I'm looking up it on
Hey,
Google.
awesome. Yeah, pull that shit up, brother. Pull that shit up, Jamie. Just kidding. Anyway, so the euro bonds are now negative, and the 3-month Treasury bond yield for the American is now 0.04, and it's down from 0.05, which is down from 0.06. And SIBO and these assholes estimated that shit would be worth around 2 to 3% right now, and it's garbage. It's almost complete zero for a 3-month yield, and it's going to be negative very soon. So why would it's already negative if you think about it when you take into account the massive inflation numbers. The price index, the CPI, and the adjusted inflation numbers are, in my opinion, much higher than they're actually stating. So the only reason that we see 5.8 marked as the July inflationary number, which is the same thing as 2008, 4 months in a row now. The only reason that we saw that instead of seeing 6.4 or 6.8 or 7.2 was because they changed the way the calculation is done. So instead of calculating things that are more expensive, like cars, they're now calculating things that didn't go up as much, like energy and certain foods, a very small amount of foods. So they're skewing the fucking numbers left and right on all these things, just the same way they're doing in the stock market. So I'm looking damn fucking forward to the mother of all short squeezes. So I don't mean to change the subject or anything, but you know what? My guy Gio, he's one of my watchers, and he's a good supporter. He's an American, and he's currently fighting in Afghanistan and working in Afghanistan for the military. and he's over there, and he was telling me that people that he works with, contractors that live out there, the people that are Afghani people, are invested in AMC and GameStop, and they watch us, and they watch our videos, and they're watching right fucking now in the Middle East, and buying. And one of those guys bought 10,000 fucking shares, and he showed me. We've been corresponding. So he was asking me, how do I figure out what am I going to do on the mother of all short squeezes? Like, I know nobody here could say when it's going to happen or how long it's going to be. I predict it's going to take at least a few days, maybe longer, for it to actually pan out once it does begin. But since nobody knows how high the actual number will go, because I believe it could go as high as even a fucking $1 million a share for, AMC or GameStop. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying it's theoretically possible because of the number of new changes in the market and the fact that, buying back doesn't really matter to these guys at what cost it is, because it has to be done regardless. But what do you guys think is going to happen, and what do you guys think is a good way to sell off when you do start to sell, to maximize your profits and not, for example, quote unquote, miss the short squeeze? How would you sell theoretically, not financial advice? How would you sell in order to not miss the short squeeze? Is what certain people are asking me.
Well, I'll tell you one thing from my personal opinion. There was boss. It's definitely going to take more than a day. And honestly, my personal opinion, and then this is opinion, right? Not financial advice, but looking at the failure to delivers, and if it's the true MOAS where they're covering every synthetic out there, you might as well be looking at pulling every retail trader out there into the giant conference room and just working a deal out, like, because it's that bad.
You think that it's going to be so bad they'd be better off just going and be like, all right, guys, we'll just give you all 50,000 a share or something like that. If you guys just fucking sell it to us, you think it's going to be like that?
Well, if an event that I am hoping for, or that I feel that we need, if it's not controlled, is basically would cause, like, I'm saying, a 4-share recall on all shares, it would basically cause just a MOAS just all at once. So I mean, there's really nothing you can do at that point other than kind of working some sort of deal out, in my eyes.
That's cool. But how would you, so if that didn't happen, and let's just say the numbers start running up, and say they start getting up to crazy things. Let's see, we see 10,000 a share, maybe 50,000 a share, maybe 100,000 a share, maybe 500,000, whatever the number is. When we start getting towards, high numbers, what do you think? How do you think you're going to handle it? Or how would you theoretically handle it? It doesn't mean, I'm not asking how will you do it. It's not what I'm asking anybody. How will you do it?
Everybody's different.
As of the
The
current
best thing
information
is
we have now, if it happened on Monday, what are we thinking we would do?
I think everybody's different. I think everybody should be planning in their mind every day. It's always evolving. It evolves on your current situation that you're currently in yourself economically. It could be on how the market's acting, how what kind of data you have. So it evolves every day. So you should, if you're really invested into it, you should really assess that thought in your mind daily, because you never know when it's going to happen,
Well, not only
and you
that,
want to be
like
prepared.
we all have different shares. We all have different needs. I mean, you should always know a number, man. That like, all right, if it hits this or it drops down to this, just in case. Like you always gotta have an exit strategy, man. Like that's crazy if nobody.
Yeah, yeah, but boys, I know what Marcel is talking about. Um, he's talking about the people that don't know as much as we do. Like like we've seen a lot. So
Exactly.
yeah, I know what Marcel is talking about because I get asked this question multiple times a day. And it's people that they don't have a whole lot of experience, and this is unprecedented, right? And so everything you guys said is correct. It is different for every person. So like for me, my number is going to be different from another person's because of so many factors, right? You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
But
Everybody's got their number.
really, I think the best thing to do, first of all, is just have a strategy. There's so many people that come up to me and they ask me this, and I'm like, I can't tell you what to do. All I can say is just have a strategy. Have your own. But at the same time, when you tell somebody that's super inexperienced, just have your own strategy, it's like, well, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
So,
So
um,
what you
so
should do
my,
with those strategies? Sorry to cut you off. So just like think about what you should do, like how many shares you got. Think of how much would change your life on different aspects of your life, on what you would need to cover this, what would change your life, what would set you.
yeah,
You should always have different goals. And you know, if it's going crazy and
you got to, first of all, I wouldn't blow my wad all at once, right?
That's
So
right. That's right.
so it would be an incremental thing, okay? So say this is not my real numbers, but say for example I have 100 shares. I am not going to sell 100 shares at an individual price point. I will divvy those up, okay? I'll say that. Secondly, a key, I think Marcel's looking for more of like a technical answer, like how do you know the squeeze is dying out? Well, the volume is going to be fucking high. The volume is going to be relatively, like, you'll just see it on the chart. I mean, we're going to be 500 million, probably in the billions, like, per
I mean,
day.
historically
And
high for sure.
yeah. So keep an eye on the volume. That might be your honestly best indicator, because no, I had this question. I forget who asked me. They're not going to come out. Oh, it was on our call last week, Marcel. It's like they're not going to come out and tell us, okay, we covered all the shorts, we closed all the FTDs. Like nobody's going to give us a helping hand. Like in the slide. If anything, they might even lie about it. So what
Oh,
you have to
absolutely, they're going to lie about it. They're going to want
what
us
you
to get out at 500, not at 5,000.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I'm going to be looking at is volume. When the squeeze is happening, there's a 99% chance it's going to be very, very fucking high volume. And then when it's dying out, the volume is going to go back to its normal levels. So, and then aside from that, I do have my own number in my head, but I got to that number through, 8 months of research, right? So, you do have to find your own number. You have to come up with your own, but at the same time, there are things like volume. You can look at short interest, but I don't know. I don't know if that's honestly going to be too helpful. I
no,
mean,
that's not, man.
but the bottom line is this, okay? Nobody's going to play this perfectly. Just play it as best as you can. Trust me, that's the best
And
thing.
like he said,
And
do those
I think
brackets.
the
Or do
that's
short
those,
not
interest is not
financial
going to.
advice whatsoever. Those are like hypothetical fucking answers. I don't have 100 shares. I have more than that, and blah blah blah. Okay.
and like you
That
were
was
saying,
awesome, brother. That was a fucking fantastical explanation. And I didn't want to be the one to say it because I didn't want people to think that this is just my viewpoint and this is the way Marcel thinks. I want people to see how everybody else thinks because this is not my show and that's the way it should be. We have a beautiful think tank here. Kringle Kitten is gone, but still
Yeah.
having Lord Wired, Jackson Hunter, AMC Bigums. I'm super happy that you guys are able to discuss this with us. Thanks so much, man. That was a great answer.
I mean, real quick, Marcel, it kind of sounds you got to leave here pretty soon.
I'm straight. I'm chilling.
can you guys
I
hear me
was
now?
just
Is my
mentioning
shit
that
back?
because I wanted to say thanks.
Oh, okay, for sure. I appreciate that. But just like think of yourself at a casino. I like to play blackjack. So if you come into the casino with $1,000, are you gonna throw all that 1,000 on the first hand? No. Like, so just think of it in terms like that. And because what if, for example, what if you have 100 shares and AMC goes to X number and you sell all 100? And then it zooms way past that. It goes 100 times that X, and then you're like, well, I got no more shares left. So it's like just people have to do their best. This is an unprecedented situation. Literally, it's incomparable to anything else that's ever happened. So, but I will be
And
looking at
Yeah.
volume. And
Hanging in or out.
and I'm gonna look at the bots in the YouTube comments because once they leave,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
then it's totally done.
Yeah, because you actually have bots in the comment. Yeah, boss. I think you're the only one that has mod privileges right now.
Not for YouTube, just for it's a bitch to go through YouTube, but no, on Twitter, I mean on YouTube, yeah, I just noticed the people that are actual supporters that have been supporting from the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, they deserve to be a mod. You know what I mean? That was it. But no, they've been awesome, and I know Jackson's got some too.
There's one in Biggum's chat for web chat with webcamschat.com.
Yep, I just
So
saw
you're
that
the one
shit.
that can, yeah, if you can.
Oh no, I
get
did
it.
go in there and hide the user from the channel. So yeah, they're done now.
Good.
Hey, Biggums, would you mind telling us what you thought? What do you think as well? Because I agree with Jackson and Wired here. I don't know about Wired exactly, but I do agree with Jackson like selling the way up. I'm gonna
They got
percent torque.
tools out there. They got.
Good.
If you
When
guys
the
do a
price
little
gets crazy
Google,
high, in my opinion, the price gets crazy high, I'll sell off 5%, and then if it continues to go up, I'll watch it for a while, gauge my everything that's going on in the market, in the world, on the volume, on the stocks, AMC and GameStop, and then sell off another 5%, and then continue to do that. But before I sell a single share, I'll probably sell my call options. That's just me. That's my opinion. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen? Because if I sell a call option, for example, at 20,000, some people will be like, "Oh, there's not going to be sellers or buyers above 10,000." That's what you think. People just watch the stock go from fucking 100 to 1,000 or 100 to 10,000. You think they're not going to buy in, thinking it's going to keep going? Someone is going to be like hearing about it for the first time or coming around and saying, "Hey, okay, it's time for me to get in the stock market because I can make some quick money off this." And so there's always going to be a buyer until there's a complete like
when it,
ridiculous number on the screen, and it's gone on for so long that and the volume just tinkers out. So I agree with Jackson on watching the volume, and that Ortex data will likely not reflect the actual short interest because it already doesn't reflect the fucking short interest, and we know this to be factual. What do you guys think, Wired and Biggums?
well, keep in mind with that option thing. So here's the thing: whenever you buy an option, there's always a seller on the other end. So when you
Yeah,
own that
and that's a
option
good
and it's
deal, right?
running, they have to buy it back.
That's true. All I was saying is like if you sell an option and say your option, you're selling it whatever this say $100 strike price option at 20,000 a share or whatever, or when the price gets to 20,000, the volatility and the IV would be so high that that option would be worth a shitload of money. But even still, when you take that into consideration, it would still be cheaper than somebody going in and buying $20,000 or spending $20,000 a share if they were to buy those options, if they had enough money to afford 100 shares at that price. So there is the possibility that you'll be able to sell those calls, I believe, because there's going to be a lot of institutions out there and a lot of big whales that are going to be fucking flipping options and buying options in order to save a few bucks. Because when you're talking prices like that, it's definitely advantageous to buy a strike price option and save something compared to just buying 100 straight up, because you don't have access to a dark pool and the volume is through the roof and you don't know what the next price is going to be at the next second for your next share.
Yeah, if there's somebody short on a call, man, they're slapping that ass. If we're
Oh no,
squeezing,
yeah,
they're
I definitely
slapping
didn't
it.
say short on the call. I'm sorry if I misspoke.
No, I'm talking about the other end. Like, right, if you owned a call, if you
Yeah,
bought a call, there's somebody short on the other end, and if we're squeezing, they're slapping that ass for whatever they can get.
that's for sure, right? They're gonna want to fucking pop it off. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was playing around with my account on Friday, and I was using my phone app, and I accidentally uh, bought or accidentally sold a covered put for the first time ever because I added a leg to my option. I was like, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. So then I had to go out and close it out, and I had to buy the close, and I did that really quick. But I slapped that ask because I'm not about to fucking get stuck holding that shit. I fucking bought that ask real quick and closed out that position and bought another call with that money.
And that's what's funny though, because the money, the true money in options is being that market maker, the liquidity provider, selling the calls and selling the puts, but they're a lot riskier, right? And selling calls even more. And but that's truly where people are making the money.
Yeah, absolutely. The share price is very safe, but yeah, definitely people are making and losing a lot of money constantly on fucking options. And like you said, a lot of market makers are making a killing, but I think that people need to realize that as long as you're not buying some garbage options that are going to way out of the money, that are going to expire on Friday, you're probably not doing yourself too much of a disservice as long as you give yourself enough time. And I definitely think 1 week's not enough time. So, it's a prime example of a terrible choice.
I'm pretty sure it was last week. It was like last Thursday afternoon. I saw somebody buy like $145 strike that expired that Friday. $90,000 worth of a
What the
YOLO
fuck
that
are they
I was just gonna
Dude,
go
that's
on
what I'm
Friday. I'm
saying.
like, are you serious?
People are nuts.
Yeah,
Shit.
what the fuck, dude? You got to be a complete idiot to do some shit like that.
And like we were showing earlier, dude. So
And I
that
feel that's a lot of times it's either the people just coming in, right? Because they hear all the hype without, because you have to desensitize yourself to this like drastically. Like Jackson, I think Jackson, I don't know how long you've been in.
Yeah, for sure.
Shit, man.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I
We
can hear you.
you
Yeah.
now, brother.
There we go. God damn, dude. My fucking Discord, dude.
Welcome back. What do you think?
For the options, well, like we were saying with the options and people doing those crazy YOLOs, dude.
Oh
We
no, somebody in the chat said they YOLO'd 20K on calls for October 1st. I wonder what the strike is though. Watch it, it could be like $40
something nuts.
strikes maybe.
Hopefully it's not nuts. But yeah, like we were saying, dude, we were looking at that thing that the short seller was saying, and as long as we keep giving them side money like that, they aren't losing money in their position. They have no reason to exit their short position. So, said guys, just be smart with the options. Every penny we can take away from them is that much faster we get to a squeeze. That's all we should be focusing on is how can we take money from these guys.
At the same time, though,
You
like
know,
Wired is buying and buying these calls and such is putting them in a bad position because we the more experienced people, should say, know that gamma squeezes are created and caused by options becoming coming into the money and such, and then delta hedging, and then it creates gamma squeezing. So, not to get into too much depth, I do think that they are a very good thing for the stock price as
well
well and for the
let
gold.
me, this is, I think this is a prime opportunity for education, at least on it's
Fire.
Wired Ape time for corruption, okay guys? So and then Bigums can jump in too because here's the thing on AMC and GME. Back in June 2nd, the corruption switch flipped on 100%. We're talking about manipulation in the option chain. We're talking about price manipulation on the stock, supply and we have demand suppression and we have increased supply through FTDs. Tons of corruption. So on the options are just terrible. Like honestly, the only options that I would ever get on AMC and GME and that I have bought, the only options that I have ever bought on AMC and GME since the run up has been 2023 options, like way out there. Like I have way more than a year to go off of, and I bought it when the IV was the lowest it's been since before we ran up. It was an opportunity that I saw. I had extra cash, and it was just a smarter move for me. But I could
Well,
still
that's a
probably
good safe
lose.
bet, I think.
What's that?
I think that's a good, relatively safe bet to go 2023. I went 2022 personally to get a little more leverage. Some people are going, December, to each his own.
But where I'm truly getting at is this whole gamma squeeze that everybody's talking about. I'm throwing finger quotes out. You can't see me, but this gamma squeeze on AMC and GME, it's just an illusion because every potential opportunity of a gamma squeeze is hedged for. So basically, what would happen is if you have a situation on the put side where the puts out of the money, they're forced to buy the share. And so if they're forced to buy the share, then it's hedged for and called on the call option. So they go delta neutral. So you don't have any delta hedging going on, so gamma squeezes don't happen. And this has been going on for many, like for a couple months now. Ever since that June 2nd run up, they've been doing this. And we've had many opportunities of an actual true gamma squeeze. We should have gamma squeezed many times. And this week especially is probably the biggest week if not like the biggest we've seen for a potential opportunity of a gamma squeeze. And to be honest, I don't foresee it even happening now, but it
I
could
kind of
potentially
have
happen
to.
because there's a
I
lot
have
of
to
money in
agree
it.
with you. I don't think that there was a gamma squeeze. I think that there was a lot of delta hedging occurring, but I don't. That doesn't mean, like you said, we all know the manipulation at hand. But the factor relate, there lies with FOMO and with delta hedging. When they come together into these stocks, we will eventually see the gamma squeeze. And like you said, I think this week's a great one for it. So thank you for saying all that, because I do agree with you. I don't think there has been gamma squeezes, but I think that the call options volume creates the opportunity for that to occur.
Well, that's another thing is like I watch these options being like traded as if they were high frequency stocks. They're being
I hear you.
traded at like real time. They're being delta hedged at real time. I'm watching AMC GM
Yeah,
because that's
yeah,
another
me
great thing
too.
about TD Ameritrade. Their option statistics is just beautiful. But it's like literally evolving by the second. And so the only time I see us getting a gamma squeeze is when they cannot financially support preventing this gamma squeeze and keeping it delta neutral.
I dig it. I dig it. Anybody else want to jump in? Because I think you make a great point. Bigums, what do you think about the MOAS, brother? You got your mic, your headphones died, I think, when we were talking about that, dude. If you're available, what were you saying about the MOAS and your thoughts about when would be possibly a good time to sell? I just wanted to ask you that, not because I'm asking, because everything changes constantly. We all know this, but if it were to happen, say tomorrow, how would you sell off? Jackson and I kind of discussed our small incremental theory on the way up, and everybody should have their number in mind.
That's what I'd do. And then I'd just make sure that I had like, 5-10% of what I have just in case it goes to some fucking crazy ass number.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you hold on to
second
a
that.
little bit.
Because, I mean, that's the thing. It might run up, run up, run up, and then all of a sudden come crashing down. And, it might have been a fake. That's the thing. Is it a fake one? And then it blows up right after, and you already sold off. And then you'd be real mad. You didn't get to, keep a couple shares. So just always prepare. I don't know. Like I said, just do the increment thing's a very smart thing to do. Obviously, not financial advice, but you can't go
Oh,
And
wrong
that
people's
could
there.
also,
created People have created special spreadsheets out there. If you guys do a little bit of Googling, like you can even look
yeah,
at specifically for like AMC and GME, they've created spreadsheets where you kind of put a price point of where you want to go at, and then they kind of break it down. And there's different types of percentage breakdowns, ladder breakdowns that you can choose from specifically. So like basically each tier, the percentages changes of how you offload, right? And when you offload at these tiers, you potentially create also opportunities on a dip. So let's just say you're offloading to a specific point, and then it dips past that offload point that you had previously. Well, that could put, if you know it's going to go higher, that could potentially create another buying opportunity for you as well. You're below your offload point, you can buy back in, and it rips up again, and you can just kind of continue some of your offload points as it goes higher. And then that may adjust if it carries through multiple days, or if you're fast enough, you can adjust it as the hours through the day goes, happens. It'll definitely evolve, but having a spreadsheet and like a backbone or a guideline will definitely help.
Yeah, and then like we're talking about with those increment theories. I mean, try and come up with a number like I was saying earlier that like you want to come up with that you could make, and then actually do some math, break out how many shares you have, and say, all right, if do percentages out in little brackets and be like, I need to sell this for this, you know, at this point and this point, so you know a number for each bracket that you need to hit instead of just being like, all right, on the way up, halfway down. I'll halfway up then I'll just kind of decide and you just kind of shell off as you go. I mean, you should have those number in mind for your brackets on the way up.
There are, if you Google it as well, there are squeeze simulators specifically for this as well. So you can actually, it'll simulate a squeeze, and you kind of have your buy sell button, and you kind of test and see how you do on your squeeze. See how much you make out of it. You kind of sharpen your
Dude, it's
skills.
fucking genius. We should all do that. Like, I'll make like a separate video of us playing with a squeeze simulator, just so people can see what the hell might happen, and just like give them an example of the way that emotions shouldn't be in the market when something like this starts to happen.
We could make a trend, Jackson, if you really wanted to, like a squeeze simulator trend, like TikTok almost, where people just kind of show their squeeze simulator scores.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And I think one of the most important things to keep in mind is I think Boss Blunts has gone over this before, but a lot of AMC shareholders are from the working class, and a lot of them have this impoverished mentality. I am still like coming out of it. Like, I've never had a lot of money in my life, and so a big thing is like people don't feel like they deserve a lot of money. And so some of those people will sell early, quote unquote, right? Like, what the fuck is early? Who knows? But my point is, people need to believe that they are worth every fucking dollar on this planet. Like, there's this like limited supply mindset that a lot of people have. And is there relatively a finite supply of American dollars at this very moment? Yes, sure. But at the same time, like, there are quadrillions of dollars out there. There is more than enough money to go around. So I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of people coming from modest circumstances are like, well, I'll just sell at a couple $100 because that will leave me all right for a couple years. It's like, I mean, my thinking is, fuck that, dude. This is once in a life. This is never gonna happen. I am never gonna have this opportunity again. So
Right.
I think a huge part of it is just believing that you are worthy of all the money in the world, because then you'll actually get what you deserve, as opposed to just settling for crumbs, because the banks want you to settle for crumbs, because it's the same fucking thing as when you go into a job interview and they offer you $20 an hour knowing damn well they could pay you 35 an hour. They always offer you 50 to 100% less than what they could actually afford on their books. It's the same exact thing, but people take it because they come from a place of scarcity, because that's all they've known. Okay, so like, I think that's like half of the picture right there, is just knowing that you are worth all the money in the fucking world, and you should feel no remorse over it, and you should do exactly what you want to with it.
And not only that, let
Dude,
me say
that's
one thing
deep and
quick too.
insightful.
Volkswagen was only shorted 12% people, and you saw what that went to. Just saying.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to bring something up here. Jackson, you make a great fucking point. Let me ask you something. Do you think the stock market cares? Do you think anybody cares if you or I or anybody else listening to this is in this fucking play when it goes off? Do you think anybody cares?
No, dude, we're ants compared to them. Like, they don't know who we are. They don't give a fuck about us, dude.
That's
Like,
right. That's right.
like
So do you
if
think
I bank and become a multimillionaire, I'm just gonna go on with my fucking life. No one's gonna know. The fucking world goes on. You know what I mean?
that's right?
Dude,
So do you think that
Biggums.
matters if you're here right now? It doesn't fucking make a difference who you are. If you're in it and it goes up and you sell at the right time, you could possibly be very rich. And nobody will fucking care whether you became rich or whether you became broke at that moment. So it's going to
Yeah.
happen regardless of who you are, regardless of what you think. So all that matters is how the fuck you position yourself on your entry and your exits.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Patrick Mahomes' contract is worth $500 million. So just think about that for a second.
Right.
An athlete is getting paid $500 million, dude.
$500 million to play a game, to throw a fucking ball. And you think that you can sell a fucking stock at 100,000? Get the fuck out of here. Who knows?
And they're gonna take half of it in taxes. They're gonna be smiling when we win.
Yeah,
Dude.
they are, dude. They're gonna take all they can in taxes, dude.
I want to point out you got the mask investors, baby's mama in your chat.
Well, what's he doing? And I think he said he was going to bed
He,
though.
I promise TMI's not in here. We haven't seen him in a few hours. He's
No,
probably in
he's
bed.
not.
he wasn't here earlier, no, but it was TMI's baby's mama.
No,
That's what it is.
That's
I'm
funny.
just telling his mama just so he's not here. He's chilling.
Oh, I got you.
What do you guys
But
expect for tomorrow? That's what I'm getting DM'd.
what are we expecting for tomorrow, boys? I'll let you answer.
Me or
Well, what's this? What was this? I forgot the setup already from last week. What did we end? How did we end last week? I forgot.
let me pull up the chart. I got the chart.
$50 and like $50
Oh
and
yeah.
cents.
So something I'm following, guys, a key metric that I've discovered, and it was all from something Trey said. He actually created a video, and it was actually very insightful. It was about supply and demand, and oftentimes, like what Biggums and I find with Trey is he finds treasures that he doesn't really fully know. Like remember when he talked about the dark fibers going down? Like that was like
Yes, that's
boom,
right.
that's
Yes.
key. But
That
with
was
when he was
OTC
talking
market,
about
by the way. So they couldn't use
yeah.
the dart pools the same.
And so he was talking about supply and demand, and so I did some investigating into it, and then I found something about volume profile and point of control, and I've been studying it on the charts, and it's something you can get charting materials. I don't know if TradingView offers it. You might be able to get it as a formula with a subscription, but TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim volume profile, you can add it on, and you can also you find videos on it, but AMC and Gimi trades to this almost to the T, and how you can see it is like when people say levels of support and resistance, that's what volume profile basically is, but off a historical volume. So basically, you see all the historical buys and sells, and you can see where it's missing gaps and points of control where there is these zones of strength and weaknesses, but it's supported by data and it actually follows it to the T. So what I'm seeing is there's a gap in like the 49, the 49 to 50 range. So I feel we have to do some sort, do consolidating in that area. So eventually we could potentially spike up, but then move back down to 49 and 50 and consolidate, and then maybe drift back up again. But I do. So my opinion on this matter, based off of volume profile, because I'm stressing it because it's very interesting, and if you guys are bored on trading and want to look at new things, I highly recommend it. But what I'm seeing is this gap that we need to consolidate in before we can truly move up more.
Boss, you want to go after that one?
Sorry, I was muted. The question was, what do we see for this week?
Tomorrow.
For tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow's Monday. AMC and GameStop are usually trading on green days on Monday, in my opinion, being everything we know about equity total return swaps and their FTDs currently and the short interest. I think Monday is going to be a very green day. I think we're going to start off the day probably with a red short attack, and then it's going to go green. That would probably make the most sense. I usually see that, anytime, in my opinion, when you see a red short attack first thing in the morning, it's kind of an indicator that the stock's going to turn around, and that's kind of their way, in my opinion, of trying to manipulate it a little bit in order to get people to lay off at that day to try not to buy in. But again, that's just my theory from what I've seen in my experiences with AMC and GameStop. But I do expect a green day. I think we're going to go up probably 5 to 8% tomorrow, and that's just my opinion and my theory, not financial advice. And that's what I'm banking on. And we're going to trade up and down in this channel. We might even go red for a portion of the day, and then I think it's going to go back up to this, 5 to 6 to maybe 8% gain. 5 to 8% gain is what I'm thinking, and I'm going to be trading options all the way through and through till the end of the day.
Jackson, my man, what you thinking?
I'm not making any predictions. I just like the stock. I like AMC and GME. To me, it's the same stock. People have different opinions, but that's what I believe. I think it's going to be a good week. I'm not saying what it's going to do, but I think it's going to be a great week. And then I think it's going to be an even better week the week after. So, but keep in mind, I'm optimistic even in the most dire circumstances. So, Yeah, man, it's gonna be good. It's just I don't believe it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and I can hold as long as it takes. I'm gonna go off here. Wired, glad to be speaking with you, man. Marcel, good to be speaking with you. Bigums, I love you to death, man. And I'll see you guys. We ride at dawn.
Sounds good, man. Right back at you,
Yeah,
buddy.
man.
You're
Dude,
the
you have
man,
some
brother.
powerful words. Thanks for coming in.
All right, peace, guys.
Bye, bye. Thanks for coming, man.
You know, so Bigums, before you move on to your prediction, I do want to state, so like I said, we need to consolidate, or it shows we should be consolidating around that area. We show that we should be moving up to 60. Like that is our next point of control if we can break our current area. But based off the option chain, I think that's going to truly show how we're going to shift this next week. I potentially feel that what can end up happening is we can actually dip hard early in the week. Dip hard. I'm talking about like 10% move, roughly 10-12%, but then drift back up to the $49-50 range and consolidate there. But I won't be able to truly know until I take a look at the option chain. What I'm gonna do tomorrow is I'm gonna probably post a video on my YouTube channel with that Max Pain. I made a Max Pain graph a couple weeks ago, and it actually lined up almost fairly well with it. There are some modifications I want to do with the Max Pain. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate the delta and how you can see delta as in. So, like if you see an option with a delta of 1, that has been hedged for, right? They got 100% of 100 of those shares. Now, if you see a delta of 5, they've hedged for roughly 50% of all those options, right? And so basically I can take the option chain and then based on the delta and see where they're hedged at currently. And also the puts, I should be able to see where a market maker is going to make max profit for where the price lies. And that's what I'm hoping to put up for a video potentially Monday, tomorrow night, or Tuesday morning, and we'll just treat it as a gamble. So that's just a plug on my part, and
That's the thing is people
it's
don't understand is that that's where like the TA could go either way. Is it doesn't always work because the level of manipulation, you don't know if it's going to go up or down. You can only try to predict and try to make some money off it, and then you got to adjust as it changes because it changes every second of the day.
right. So that Max Payne theory, like how I have my data, I can actually just slap the data in for the most part, and
Yeah, I
it
love
spits
that.
out.
That's the max pain for options. Like for those that don't know.
Yeah, basically the Max Payne theory is where a market maker will look at all the options, the calls and the puts, and they'll calculate where does the price need to be for all those to fail, and the max profit, so the max pain to these guys. And so I strongly believe that's what the market makers are currently doing. They'll make a volatile move in a specific direction and then migrate to that max pain point at a slow rate, so that way, you have theta decay, which is like you're paying rent on owning these shares for the limited time, so that decays through time. And then also you have IV crushing, right? So you're basically, that volatility kind of dies out, it goes stagnant, and so the stock becomes worth less and less. Not the stock, but the option becomes worth less and less and less. So basically this option you buy fizzles out and doesn't go anywhere, especially these weekly YOLOs where they have to hit their strike and exceed it. Now your prediction, Bigums.
I mean, I agree with Blunt, man. I feel like Monday will be a green day. It seems to be like that almost every single week. But this week, I don't know. I feel like we'll end up right around 55, 56. I think it'll be a decent week. But a lot of people think
Yeah.
it's gonna be too crazy. But like I was saying before this cat system came out, I still don't think it's gonna take effect until like 3 weeks after, at least.
It's going to
Yeah,
be some
I
catching up for sure. It's not going to be an instant thing. It's going to be a small ramp up. It's going to take a while.
yeah, the CAT system I see being fully 100% in 2022, right? Like I feel it's gonna take that amount of time.
But that's why it's bullish though, because it's kind of like it's already starting to take away their power little by little. So it's just chipping away at them more and more, just like the new Phase 5 regulations, the new initial margin requirements, the new $1 trillion margin requirements, and everything else that's being laid out on top of these guys. Literally, all these fucking cats are getting cats thrown at them.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. But I gotta get going here soon, guys. I gotta get up here
Yeah, let's
real
call it a
fucking
night.
early.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
But I mean, I'll
Dude,
be
you
up.
got like three.
What's up?
Well, before you go, like before you close up here, I just want to point out you have 334 people in here. That's amazing, guys.
Yeah, thank you all
Hopefully
for
you guys had
coming.
fun. You learned something too. I definitely have to shout out Boss Blunts. Like Boss Blunts, he's really good at just knowing the economics of the world and just knowing everything around him. He's very educated. He comes from a lot of a lot of back. I think you came from real estate and banking, right, Boss Blunts?
Real estate and business. I don't really deal with banking, but no, I did do a lot of real estate and some business. I've
You
been
have
self-employed
friends in
since I was
banking.
18.
That's what it is, right?
I don't have anything to do with banking personally. I don't have a finance background whatsoever, but with business, you have to learn economics and finance and everything in between, so that's kind of why I've always been looking at this stuff. And I appreciate it. Thank you for the shout out. But
What's your YouTube channel though? That's what's really important.
Boss Blunts, Marcel Klinovic, either way, whichever way you search for it, it'll pop up. But I appreciate you guys asking. Yeah, I'm out there and I'm trying to point out all the economic factors here because something like a mother of all short squeeze is not a technical play like we've all discussed. So it's not just going to be based off of charts. It's going to be based off of the outside factors. We know these hedge funds and market makers aren't going to roll over and just give us their billions and trillions of dollars. They're going to have to get fucking closed out purposely. And with the way that the economy's going, the only way that could fucking happen is through an economic and stock market and real estate meltdown that we're all fucking seeing one fucking piece at a time by the government giving people money to stay at home because of a fucking sickness that we don't really know anything about that Rothschild patented back in 2015. So who the fuck knows what's going on? But all I know is there's outside factors involved, and it's really what's going to bring it's catalysts from outside the stock market that are going to create the beginnings of the mother of all short squeezes, and that's what matters in my opinion, because that's why we're all here, right?
Well, yeah, and well, obviously, look at all the changes we've already made. A lot of stuff wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have brought a lot of this to light, guys. So, should
You
still
guys
be
are
proud of
geniuses
yourselves.
with all these filings and regulations, and because of like guys like you, Biggums and Wired, and everybody else out there, Jackson Hunter and Kringle Kitten, and everybody else out there, and thousands of apes, probably tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people worldwide that are doing this research and putting it out there on Reddit, YouTube, and all these other threads, because that's how we can share information, right? Twitter. That's why we're fucking here, because it's the only way we can communicate with each other. And even still, we're being censored. So I appreciate you guys so much for, discussing Bigums and Wired and all your research, and for sharing your information with whoever's interested in listening. So thank you guys.
You too, guys. Thanks
Thanks
Yeah,
for
we
everybody
all
for
learn
everybody.
from each other, man.
Oh yeah, that's why we're a community, guys. But I'll see you guys hopefully in the morning. I'll be up at 7. We'll be live again. Hopefully you guys will join me again in the morning.
Let's go. Peace out, Ape Nation. Peace out, Bigums and Wired.
Later, guys. Thanks everyone.